Hello and welcome to the Futro Hidden Movie Gems podcast. I'm your host, Ty Spiker Christensen. The land had oil, liquid gold, black gold. And we got Jordan Christensen on the podcast.
Hello. Well, I'm trying to do the expression that Leo did. That Ty's got it. It's just that, was he going because he's trying to be a relative of Leonardo DiCaprio? Who's the other guy?
Robert De Niro.
Is he trying to do a Robert De Niro, hey,
you want to mess with me? My wife. And we got Cameron Mickle on the podcast.
I don't know what you said, but it must have been Indian for handsome devil.
Yes, that was actually made me laugh.
And that's the only thing that made me laugh. And we've got Nick on the podcast.
I don't like whiskey. I love whiskey.
That was a good one too.
I also liked F a Duck. I don't know why that actually made me laugh out loud in the theaters. Like, you're gonna charge me for the visit? You come all the way. I was like, we came all the way out here with the insulin. It's like Duck, man. That actually made me laugh. Those are the only two things that made me laugh in this movie.
I've never heard that before.
Yeah. Duck. Oh, you've never heard it? I have heard it.
I have.
In a Scorsese film, and in the setting, I'm like, I wonder if that was an expression that existed back then, but I'm like, I guess it did. That just surprised me.
I know you grew up in Wisconsin too, Cameron, but you didn't get to high school till Texas, right?
Yes.
You probably would have heard
they don't
it
swear
more.
in Texas like they do in Wisconsin.
No, they do, but just different.
Do they
F a
swear?
Duck it's a
Midwestern
term.
swear?
Yeah, exactly.
A white trash swear?
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah, only in Oklahoma and the Midwest boys would understand, so that's why we understood this movie spoke our language. Speaking of this, guys, today we're reviewing Killers of the Flower Moon. Yay.
And we pray our podcast is a tenth of the length of this movie.
Yeah,
we should keep the conversation going for up to 3 hours. People will mistakenly think this is the movie posted, just like they think every episode of our podcast is the movie.
That's true.
Our most popular episodes, by the way, are the ones that are closest to the runtime of the actual movies.
Yeah.
So this is gonna be tough.
I can literally check what people search, and it's literally full-length movie.
They keep hearing Colton and Tess talk about the Big Trouble in Little China to this day, dude. It's so funny. Guys, we're reviewing Killers of the Flower Moon. It was directed by some indie director named Martin Scorsese.
Did he thank you guys in the theater as well? In your theater?
Yes.
Yeah, that was cool.
I thought that was kind of cool.
Yeah, it was very cool. It was before the movie, so I was actually still very grateful. If he did it at the end of the movie, I might have been like, Marty. Just kidding, guys. We should go around and say what it was like watching this movie for the first time, rewatching it for the podcast.
Just watching it for nobody went.
I will never rewatch this movie. Yeah, let's start there.
Who went and rewatched it, Ty? Yeah, right.
Sure.
Who will ever rewatch it? I will.
Exactly.
The only one that will ever rewatch it.
Maybe
no one will ever rewatch it, Nick. That's your prediction. Yeah, I feel like here's her prediction real quick. That's gonna get 1 million Oscars. Lily Gladstone, she's gonna make DiCaprio might get Oscar nominations. De Niro might get Oscar nominations, but I don't know. I hope Oppenheimer wins more awards than this movie, honestly. I know I sound like more like a Nolan head than a Scorsese fan, but truth is I love Scorsese. And
who was higher on your list of top 10 directors, Ty? Was Martin above Nolan?
That is funny that you say that now that I think about it.
I'm trying to remember.
Can't remember. I'll have to go.
I know. I think Cameron, you had Nolan higher, didn't you?
Yeah, I had Nolan and Fincher both higher than him.
Yeah, I think
Fincher's
I have to check. Yeah, I'll have to check where Scorsese ranks in my list.
Fincher fell off my list.
So no one was more excited to see this film than me.
Swine.
I literally was like, "This is my birthday movie, and I'm gonna go see it." Nick, you were there.
Yeah.
My father-in-law was there. So yeah, my theater going experience, everyone was super quiet and reverent during the movie, which I loved. My father-in-law was sleeping next to me.
What? He went and saw it?
Yeah, he went with me and Nick. We all went and saw it together. We're all just hanging out.
And he slept, I am assuming.
He fell asleep, and then when a TNT exploded, he's like, "What?" He woke back up. He's like, "What the freak?" Some TNT exploded, and he's like, "No!" He's awake all of a sudden. Anyway, yeah,
he woke up like everybody in the movie.
So
I had to get an icy to stay awake.
yeah, Nick it was smart. He went and got some refreshments to keep himself awake, and I should have, because I was like, "Oh, I know Nick doesn't want to share with me," but I was like, "Guys, steal a swig or something. I should have gone up and but I was like, I don't want to miss anything. And honestly, I think I could have stepped out at
At
any
any
time in this
time,
movie and
yeah.
not
I
missed
stepped out
anything.
3 times and I don't feel like I missed a darn thing. I was walking back in very slowly. I got in the line. There was nobody in line for the snacks. I'm like, I'm just gonna think about what I want. I already knew what I want. I walked out of there to get an icy. Stood there for about
So
5 minutes.
Nick's
So-
like, after you, go ahead of me. Yeah, I'm not in any rush to get back to my movie. Jordan, what was it like watching it for you, man, and your theater going experience?
Yeah, I was just really glad to see this in the theater. Like, even
Yeah.
though it did feel a lot like Oppenheimer, in my opinion. I know Ty thinks Oppenheimer is like this so much better. I think
No,
they're
slow down. I think there's a lot of similarities for sure.
okay.
Like
I-
it's a big epic about a
And
true
I just
story.
I just appreciate, even though it wasn't like my favorite film and I'll never rewatch it, I just appreciated it. It's new, it's different. It's based on a book. Like, it's just good that like people are making adaptations not from like previous material, but like actual books people are reading still.
Jordan is calling out Disney and everyone at Marvel.
I just
He's on Scorsese's side where he's like, yeah, this crap, all these superheroes. Speaking of which, you know, how much
he didn't
Scorsese
say
hates
crap.
superheroes.
He said they were roller coaster rides.
Yeah, garbage, essentially. Everyone's giving him flat, but he's not wrong. And it was so funny. There were 2 superhero movie trailers before the movie started. The
Yeah,
last one
that was
before his
funny.
movie was the Fetching Marvels. So it's like Scorsese's like boycott. He's like, do not have their trailers playing before my movie. But maybe he doesn't
Yeah,
have the staying power as he used to have. He had to make this movie with Apple. Like, that's so crazy to me that he had to go through Apple.
I was just shocked when I read Cameron and Ty's Letterboxd reviews, because I just like, I get it. I totally understand it. But at the same time, I'm just like, especially because Ty loved Oppenheimer. So I just thought this would be like right in your wheelhouse because it's new, it's
For
different.
sure.
But I'm excited to talk about it.
Yeah,
I did
should.
enjoy it. Sounds like I'm the only one that did. But
it's a good thing you're on the podcast because we're all going to change your mind and everyone can witness it real time.
Right,
Cameron, what was it like going for you for the movies?
Yeah, I mean, Martin's one of my favorite directors, and so it was kind of hard not having high expectations, especially because him and Leo always go well together.
I agree with
And-
that. I had high, way
and
too
Wolf of
high.
Wall
Robert,
Street. Yeah, amazing.
And so, like, I just think it's hard for me not to go in just like expecting. I mean, and also him in The Departed, I thought was like like such an amazing performance. So it's kind of hard. And then also Shutter Island. So there's like so many ones I love of Leo and Martin.
Did you see the trailer? This trailer is going to go down as one of my favorite movie trailers.
Yeah,
in
you
a
way
long time.
overhyped it. It's like me overhyping Batman.
Yeah,
Sure.
Overhyped.
And there might be a case for that too.
It
yeah.
kind of that's what the viewing was. It's one of those few movies I'm usually a pretty patient viewer because I mean my favorite movie is Zodiac, but this is one of those movies I checked my phone multiple times during the movie and I was like, well, what's the runtime at? And I was like, there was one moment where I was like, we have an hour left. I was like, what?
Yeah.
And so it was, I think just the pacing kind of got to me. I just felt like I turned to Drew or Colton and I was like, so much has happened and nothing has happened at the same time. And I'm like, and I don't know how I feel about that. It also reminded me a lot of There Will Be Blood, and I'm not the biggest fan of There Will Be Blood. And so
love that movie. Don't compare this to that. In fact, I was
They're very
hoping. I
similar.
was
I
like,
actually agree with
all
you,
this made me
Cameron.
want to do was go watch
especially
There
the
Will Be Blood.
pacing.
Yes.
The pacing of both those movies are very similar. I felt like There Will Be Blood is like
No.
forever long, and then there's like this random thing at the
So
end. I was
fetching
like,
good,
what the
dude.
fudge? And then this
There Will Be
movie
Blood is
forever long, and
a
then this
slow
random thing
burn,
at the
dude.
end.
No, I'll
Ty's
just
like,
disagree with you there.
keep those
Yeah.
separate.
Yeah. No, but I agree, Cameron. It's interesting that you mentioned that because I do like a slow burn, and this movie it's not even a slow burn. It's just like punishing and painful.
Yeah, I just felt like it was too. It was like I feel like it forgot. Like it did so well at immersing you in the world that it forgot it's a movie.
Agreed.
And I'm like, whoa, like something's gotta happen. Like the problem for me is like there's movies like Columbus where or Lost in Translation where you can argue nothing happens and it's just like these two people just experiencing life, but it's like, or like there's a plot like The Departed, but this one was like I felt like trying to be both. It was like, look at this, what it was like in this time, and then at the same time there's these murders, all this stuff, and it was like so weirdly in between that I was like, this either has to be an action like thriller where there's like killings and drama with the murders, or it has to be like just like show me what it's like, you know? Because I felt like it was trying to be Wind River. It was like Wind River and There Will Be Blood had a baby.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm.
I think that's, you can compare those movies and I can see why you would, but like
Definitely a
this,
period piece.
yeah, it just, this one struck. And you know what? I think the biggest thing I would say is this was marketed just too much as a Western. This is not a Western movie.
Mm.
Like, and again, I mean, this is after the Wild West. This is like the 1920s. So I can understand that. But again, the way this was marketed was very much like a Western. So I was like, dude, spaghetti Western with Martin Scorsese. Like, I want to see that movie. I'd see the heck out of that movie. But like, this is like the Titanic of like a sad Gone with the Wind kind of thing. That's like what I think of that.
I
Yeah.
can Gone with the Wind is a better
Yeah,
comparison.
Gone with the Wind and Titanic, and the
There
disaster
Will
in
Be
this one
Blood.
is like no exciting iceberg and there will be blood. I can understand it. You see oil and you're like, oh, evil oil ban.
Good point.
You know,
Well, yeah, and it was just like trying. So I don't know.
the oil
I was
ban.
also a little underwhelmed at like the performances. I know that they were trying to be subtle, especially with his wife, but like I felt
Yeah.
like whoever said that this is Leo's best performance, is this the first movie you've seen of Leo?
Yeah, dude.
Holy fudge.
Yeah, I
I'm
can
like,
name.
have you
Yeah,
seen
there's
any of his other movies?
there's nothing. Yeah, nothing will touch. I even The Departed, which like I still think of so much more in that movie than just Leo's performance. But like obviously Wolf of Wall Street. Like there's just nothing that touches.
Or Shutter
that.
Island. I'm like, there's so many other movies that I'm
Yeah.
like, honestly, Catch Me
Yeah.
If You Can is a better performance than this.
Yes.
I'm
Yes.
like,
Catch Me If You Can.
This
Yeah, me
feels like another Revenant waiting to happen, where they're like, give him the Oscar. He deserves
know,
more than just one, and it's about Native Americans, so we should all just
Revenant's a
bow
good
down and
comparison.
love this movie because of what it's about. And but what is it about? I don't
Well,
even get what they're trying to say. Marty, what are you trying to say with this movie? I don't understand.
I think it's more of an appreciation for like the only film next to Oppenheimer that's like, oh, this is like new, fresh, and by somebody we love, and like
Sure.
and good actors. Like everything is good. And
Yeah.
I wouldn't say it goes above and beyond. It's nothing like, yes, you guys keep comparing it to his masterpieces, but this is just a good film. That's
Not
all.
his
Well,
magnum
that's what
opus. I'll tell you that
for
much.
me, and that's why for me, I just felt like I wasn't the target audience because I don't love like I already don't love Western or any like kind of that feel. Like I don't love the feel of like There Will Be Blood. I thought the whole
Well, you're
movie-
very lucky. This wasn't a Western.
well, and just
So
like
you should have been
that
surprised.
whole genre just doesn't really hit
Yeah.
home for me. But I'm glad because you could tell this was a passion project of his, and I'm glad that he
Mhm.
like he went and did something that he was like super passionate about and loved. This just like Ty said, like, and maybe that's just like the marketing team doing their best to try to get as many butts in seats,
Yeah,
like just
yeah.
trying to market it as like, but because if it would have been marketed to me as the movie that it was, I would have been like, oh, okay, maybe have more reasonable expectation. It's going to be
For
like a
sure.
super slow burn, like go into it not expecting a whole lot, but like.
Dude,
Like,
don't even get me started because like I literally think there were things put in this movie for the trailer that had nothing to do with the story. Like TNT Man, for example. Well, to be fair, there's one half of that that's understandable that was part of the story, but like we got to get into that. But because yeah, I don't want to rip this new one. I do want to say what I love about this movie because I want to get
really
praise
quick,
out of
did
the
Nick
way
already say
first,
what
yeah.
it was like watching it?
Yeah, he had to get an icy to stay
Oh, that's
away.
right.
No, no. No, and then the day after, Nick's telling me, he's like, dude, we were at church. And I was late to church because the movie, just delayed me in getting ready for church on time.
Well, when did you start it? You started at like 10, right? 7.
No, it was like a 7:40 showing.
You probably didn't get done till
20
like
minutes of
midnight.
trailers. Yeah, it was. Yeah, I got
Yeah,
home at midnight.
definitely midnight. I got home at midnight.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it was pretty late. But again, it was like there was like a 10 o'clock showing. You didn't go to that. But anyway.
I told him that Jordan would love this movie, and he was like, "No, I don't think Jordan will. I don't think he'll get it."
You're right.
Like,
Nick is absolutely right. Jordan, Nick's like, I bet Jordan loved it, and I was like, "There's no way."
Loved is a strong word. I say I
Yeah.
really, really liked it.
Okay, compared to like
there were definitely
love it.
Yeah,
I appreciate it.
Let's get into two of our favorite things. So Jordan, gush about this movie. What are your two favorite things? I'll go to Nick. Let me hear it.
No, well, I should probably let you guys go first because I'm gonna take
Yeah.
your stuff, right?
No, I mean, like I have plenty.
Yeah,
to
because
say
you guys
about
aren't gonna
this
have as
movie.
much
Yeah.
good stuff to say as I have. I got plenty of good stuff.
Cameron's champing at the bit. Go ahead, Cameron. Yeah,
Cameron,
I got two things.
No, I think like a really my favorite thing was like it was one of the few things that I felt like the marketing team, I was glad that they almost kind of gaslighted or tricked me because the
Mhm.
bait and switch of the Indians being the rich people, I was like, whoa.
Yeah, that was
like
cool.
That,
It was
that was really
jarring.
fun where I was like, because I was kind of expecting like, oh, these greedy like oil money guys. I mean, ended up still being like greedy white people trying to steal the money, but but I was glad at least like the roles to start off were reversed. I thought it made it like really impactful because it was like then like it made the whole dating to get in the family like that sleazy mother who went from like sister to sister. I'm like that dude.
I
I was
don't
like,
want you here.
like,
I
out
need
of
you to
all
step
the
out of the
people you
room.
guys murdered, you couldn't have murdered him. Like, like I know that ended up, but I was like, he should have been numero uno to go. I was like, he's so annoying, and so that was like the biggest thing for me. I thought that was a really fun because then it kind of made the whole dating game where it's like, oh, what are his real motives? Like in dating, like is it actually love or is it like he wanting to love her because he wants the money as well? And I just thought that was really fun. And then my second favorite thing is I thought there was a couple like really interesting shots, like really different, especially like I don't know, I've never seen Martin go like so. It almost had like A24 feel on a couple shots, like when he was walking over the like or walking through the prison, like in the bars, just kind of kept going over. It was just like really like interesting, as well as like with the fire outside, and they kept like going back to it and showing like the weird kind of feeling in the windows, and then like the fire. I don't know. I thought a lot of the cinematography was like really interesting and cool shots. I just felt like there wasn't a lot of weight to those shots, and that's what kind of took me out of it. As I was like, oh, that's a cool shot, but why? Like the prison, I'm like, this is a really cool visual,
Right.
but and that was kind of like one of my problems too that Ty touched on is like I just didn't really
I'll tell you why, Cameron.
like I'm a big message person in movies. Like I love to like learn something or something that the movie is like trying to teach me. And so like Wind River, I loved where I was like, oh my gosh, there's no like category for missing Native American women. That's so sad.
Right.
But for this, I was just like, is the message everyone's a sleazebag? Because like halfway
Right.
through the movie, I was like, oh, Leo is an antagonist. I was like, I thought he was like
He's
gonna
a
have a
bad guy.
redemption arc. He's
well,
kind
of course he's a
deplorable.
bad guy, but like, yeah, don't even get me started. I am so mixed.
There was just not really a lot of redeeming qualities because I thought he was a complex character, and then they just like doubled down on it, and they're like, yeah, he sucks, and I was like, oh,
but
I
like,
wanted to root for him. Okay,
but no, yeah, I had like nothing. Anyway, we'll get to that. But yeah, Leo characterization. I want to talk more about that. But Nick, how about you? Two of your favorite things.
Wow.
rack your brain, man.
Yeah, dig into that brain, Nick.
Really rack into that.
Pull something out.
Yeah, I think there was probably one part that I liked, and that was the when they were in court and the lawyer started yelling and screaming. And
yeah, dude, Brendan Fraser gets up. He's just like, my client. He's like, yeah, I object. You can't have him stand as a witness. I was like, so out there. I was like, calm the freak down. Brendan Fraser just gets on the screen and starts screaming. John Lithgow is the other what do you call it?
I knew the moment I heard his voice, I'm like, it's Farquaad. Farquaad is his lawyer.
Going against the Mummy Returns, you know?
Yeah, for real.
It's super funny. No, I totally agree, Nick.
I mean, yeah. Other than that, man, I don't know. That was, I don't know if I like too much. I don't really think it was all that complex or that. I mean, here's the thing, man.
Interesting.
Dude was kind of slow. Okay, not stupid, just a little slow. Talk slow, thought slow. His uncle influenced him. He wanted the money. He even said in the movie, "I really like that money." That's what he wanted, the money.
Okay? Like that money.
It was clear that the Indians, that they had the money, because the very first scene is them basically being like, you know, our kids are not going to learn our ways, and then they're out jumping around in oil. There's oil flowing everywhere. So it's like, okay, they got the money. These white people are coming in trying to take it all. This is classic. This happens all the time. It was just very, I don't know. It was just, with that being said, there was nothing that in this movie that surprised me. There was no twists in it. And the only couple of times that keep you awake is there's that one explosion. That kind of jolts you up. But then the lawyer yelling. But other than that, I was just enjoying my icy.
Yeah.
It's kind of like
I went specifically for that icy, to be honest with you.
It's like that at least made the movie experience, just that much better.
But here's the thing, guys. I mean, otherwise, it was I can see where people think, oh, it's a great movie. This and that. It was nicely done. Okay. The characters were well done. But for someone like me, my attention span is about 4 minutes. So this movie was about 100 times longer than I.
Yeah.
Add a couple zeros to that, Nick.
That's right.
4.
That's right. Well, Jordan, do you want to go or do you want me to go?
You can go, Ty. I'll go next.
So like Martin Scorsese, like there were several things that I thought were really cool. Like even the ending, the denouement where they had the almost like a podcast. I don't know what else to call it. They're like doing this radio talk show, and they had like Jack White there, and they were saying like how everything wrapped up at the end. And then Scorsese comes out and reads the obituary of Molly's obituary, and I just thought that was really interesting that again this entire family was completely murdered like slowly and methodically, except Molly herself, who did survive but again was poisoned nearly with an inch of her life. And there was no mention of murders, and I thought that was really interesting. And I was like, yeah, it is odd to think about the stories that happened in history that just completely flew under the radar and under the speculation and protection of the federal government. It's just a very interesting, and that made me want to like investigate further and read the book. I've heard good things about the book. But the other thing I would say is like I feel like Martin Scorsese, I do feel like he had a lot of passion for this movie, and I think that's why it runs as long as it does, because I don't think I think he just kind of wanted to remain in this world. So he like tries to immerse you in this world, and he slowly builds everything. And he's like, I expect the 3 hour and 26 minute runtime. Like, Marty, could you even sit through a movie for 3 hours and 26 minutes, man? I mean, he's pushing 80 years old.
It sounded more like Robert De Niro, because he's the one who brought it to Martin. It sounded like he was more into it. I think he just wanted to play the evil character behind.
Of course, yeah. De Niro
was like, yes. I was like, this is the perfect role for me.
I think he just really wanted to spank Leo. It's probably his only reason why he wanted it. So there's a few. So and again, it's beautifully shot. Holy cow. Like, and even if like I don't think the cinematography was like super right home, like it is like you look at the movie, it's very impressive. Like it just screams like a big movie. So like big scope, lots of people. There's some shots where you just have like this entire city, and they immerse you in that world really, really well. Starts really good and it ends really good. So you have like a really good start and a really good finish, but like the middle is just a slog. So that's where my criticisms start to begin. So, but Jordan, how about you, man? Get into your favorite things.
So yeah, I'm just going along with what Ty and Cameron have said, which is you're talking about the visuals, and Cameron, you mentioned it as well, actually, obviously, because Martin's got years of experience and he's really good at it. But also just Cameron talked about the immersion, and I just felt like it was a total Robert Eggers film, in just the sense that you felt like you were living in that time. Like I totally 100% from the get-go, like it just totally immersed me in, and I felt like I was living with these people. And what's interesting, and I felt like it kind of added to liking it, is I've been like, because we live in such a time where, I mean, we are so overstimulated. Like this movie was almost kind of a breath of fresh air, just because I was like, oh, like back in the day, they would just sit around and just like, and she's like, remember the moment where she was just sitting in silence and Leonardo DiCaprio starts to get antsy and he starts talking? I'm just like,
and she's like, be quiet.
I know, just please stop talking.
Yeah, just listen to the rain.
Just listen. And it's just so interesting because, like, I mean, Cameron has to listen to things on 2 times speed, and he has to have like 10 things going on at once. And it's so fascinating.
Being thrown under the bus here.
No. I'm
Everything
just saying
that's wrong with our generation.
Yeah, George's like, Cameron can't even sit still for 10
Cameron
minutes.
is the personification of what's wrong with Gen Z.
That's right.
No, it's nothing. It's more of a personal thing. Constantly, I'm just wondering, like, because I also am overstimulated, and I am constantly, like, all the time, like, I'm trying to listen to movies while I'm driving, like, but it's because I'm like, I need to be I just need to be constantly stimulated, like, and this movie, there's a lot of times I was in my chair, like, moving around and fidgeting because I'm like, holy crap, is this slow? But I'm just like, this is how it was back in the day. Like, there's a lot of times where I appreciate it because it put me in that time period. Like, sure, it might have been torture at times, but it was like living in their time. So
Living in their time was torture. So
Jordan, if we were
You're
living in their
basing that
time, the
off of
film would have been black and
movie?
white and like a 1.3 times the speed, and everyone been moving around all weird. Like, you ever see films from the freaking 20s, man? It's like,
well,
like
and
moving pictures.
I've seen almost every Martin film, and so like some of them are pretty slow and pretty boring. I'll just be honest. So like you guys talk about all his
you go.
masterpieces, and you watch this one thinking, oh, it's going to be anything like those. It's going to be good. Well, he's got quite a few movies that you guys are going to be like, holy crap.
see, Jordan, this reminded me.
Yeah, yeah.
This
You
this
might
for
even
me,
think that, you know, like, I don't know, Shutter Island's a good movie.
well, this for me was like Benjamin Button for David Fincher. It
Oh,
was just
interesting.
like
Yeah.
a weird passion project that I'm like, this doesn't
Yeah.
really feel like you. And
Yeah.
I'm like, and it like there was moments where I'm like, oh, I can see this is totally like Fincherian, like of him doing this aspect, but then like overall it's like kind of weird that you made this movie. And that's kind of how I felt with this. I'm like, it wasn't
Yeah.
a bad movie necessarily, but I'm
Right.
like, I'm surprised that this is your passion project, and I'm like, and I'm weirded out that like this is like something you're so into.
Yeah, and like what drew
Right.
him to it, you
Yeah,
know?
because I'm like,
Right.
why is
And-
David Fincher directing a movie about a child who reverses like ages in reverse? And I'm like, what the fudge
Like,
is
get
this?
back to Ben Affleck being wrong, you know, wrongly accused.
Yeah, I'm like,
That's way
there's
better.
got to be more like murder or serial killer. I'm like, why are you talking
Like,
about this?
is he gonna
reverse
die at the
age
end? Is he gonna
person?
kill someone? Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't get it. So,
Yeah.
that was
So
a-
I'll
for me.
yeah go. So I will say, so like my key issue, and I want to know what you guys think about this. I do not understand the decision to make Leonardo DiCaprio as the protagonist versus Lily Gladstone. I don't know why. Can anyone
Lee
justify
Gladstone,
that
you got to
deci-
tell me who that is.
She
Molly.
plays Molly. She's
Oh.
his wife. I don't understand why the story wasn't told from her perspective, because at the beginning she's the one narrating. She's like, this person, no investigation. This person. I actually thought she was going to be, because at the beginning you show Leo entering the city, and that's a good way to like show your world, because he's the vehicle in which we can see Oklahoma in 1920. He's getting there from the war. He doesn't know what's going on, so like he's for the audience's sake.
Oh.
So
Well, I just
we
wanted to
kinda
say
yeah,
really
go
quick,
ahead.
and I didn't get to say my second thing, just along with what you're saying, that was part of, I know you're kind of questioning like why, but
Yeah.
like if you watch all his other films, especially back to his older ones, like Taxi Driver, he follows a lot of flawed characters, like actually all his
No,
movies.
and that's
But-
fair. Again, this isn't even like, why is he following a flawed character?
Well,
I
no, but he's like
still-
a despicable,
yeah.
horrible human being. Like
100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've no
Like, I feel like
problems.
all of his
Dude, I
protagonists are, like-
dude, I love anti-heroes as much as the next person.
but I
But
wouldn't call him a hero
finish.
at all.
Well, sure. I mean, okay, like straight up villains
He had
then.
he had a
that are
moment
main
of bravery to testify.
That's right. And then he
But
backed
even
down.
then,
but
but
then he
even
came
then, I have to
forward.
ask you, I don't understand his motives for doing that. I don't understand. I really
Yeah,
don't.
he was
I don't get
dumb.
the switch. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
That's it. He was doing what he was told.
Yeah, he was just doing what he was told, and then he
Not
finally
that
took up
complicated.
agency. But why? Like, I don't know
Dumb.
why he changed. I don't know what change he went.
Wanted the money. He said at the very beginning. And
No,
he was
see,
also-
I understand. Yeah, I understand his motives. I'm saying I don't know why he
He's not a good
changed.
guy. He was dumb and he was a bad guy.
He seemed a little unsure though, because even from the get-go, you guys keep saying like he only wanted money. He did love her. Like I truly believe that. Like
Oh, sure.
Sure, but see, this is where okay, so let me pitch you my
Sure.
version of this movie. You can have Leo come to town and he then rides off, and then we follow Lily Gladstone and we follow her in her day-to-day routine, and then Leonardo DiCaprio comes back and he's a charming guy. They fall in love, they get married, and then they have these conversations like, hey, all these white people are coming to town and taking advantage of us. Now Leo and Lily are happily married. And then, you know, in the back of her mind, she might be thinking like, do you think he's a poser? Like, no, absolutely not. He's faithful. He loves me. And then later on in the movie, he starts to get really shady when Jesse Plemons shows up to do an investigation about all this shiz, because there's murders going on. And he's like super like opposed to an FBI investigating what's going on. Then she starts to question his motives. It's like, is my husband like upset or has anything to do with this? And then eventually finds out that she's been being poisoned by him and nearly killed by him. And that's when all this drama could happen. We could see it through her eyes. What bothered me so much about this movie, like Nick said, nothing surprised me. In the first 10 minutes, we follow Leo to his uncle's house, and his uncle's like, yeah, you like them, you like women. He's like supposed to be racist, and he's like, yeah, I like all kinds of women, sir. I love all kinds of women. And I love money. And we don't see him struggling with money. Like watch the Titanic. Leonardo DiCaprio is a poor guy. He bets it all on winning this trip, and he gets on the Titanic by pure luck, by a game of poker. So
but was it luck tie because of the ending?
My point, yeah, he plays poker in this movie, but see, they showed him with bad luck later into the movie. But what's so weird is like he tells you what his character's motivations are, but we don't see it. Show don't tell. He literally, Martin Scorsese committed the cardinal sin by just telling us what his motivations are: women and money. And women doesn't play a role in the rest of the movie, except that he loves his one wife. So it's like he loves one woman, his wife, and then like he's completely faithful and loyal, except for the part where he starts to poison her because he loves money more than her, I guess. But then he finds out he doesn't love money more than her and stops poisoning her, tries to poison himself, and then testify. Like, I don't get where his character transformation came from. I don't understand. Anyway, I just think you could have easily made What Lies Beneath. Literally could have made What Lies Beneath movie, and it would have been more competent and more exciting than this film. And again, that's not even to say, like, and again, I'm spoiling What Lies Beneath, the Harrison Ford, Michelle Pfeiffer vehicle. You remember that movie?
I do.
I haven't seen it, but it's
yeah. Okay, yeah. I won't spoil any more than that, but you could have made that story with Lily Gladstone.
She does use a Ouija board. I don't know, Cameron. It's kind of
no. That movie's like whatever. That movie's not bad.
Scared me.
Anyway, so I'm almost angry. I feel like Martin Scorsese missed an opportunity to make her the protagonist. She just seems pretty weak and useless and feckle in this entire movie. Like
he was drugging her, that's why.
Sure, but even like before that, like I mean, there's a scene where it's like, I'm gonna go to Washington and I'm gonna like get on this train. I'm weak and feeble, but I talk to the president and I'm like, hey, we have all these murders happening. He's like, thanks for your time. Have a great day. And she just goes back. And I get it. It shows you how they completely dismissed and swept these people under the rug. That's awful.
Yeah, the
right?
past two blockbuster long movies have just been roasting presidents, like President Hoover or whatever, or Truman, when he's like, get this baby out of my office.
Get this emotional baby, yeah. Get this cry baby out of my office. Yeah. That's right,
like,
dude.
Holy
And so, and again, I will say, like, Lily Gladstone, she didn't annoy me, but I'm almost angry that Martin didn't direct the movie with her as the protagonist,
the lead,
like the main lead, because
I can get that.
We follow Leo's character the entire time. There's no mystery. There's no surprise. Like I said, he says he likes money, he likes women. And then the entire plot of the movie, freaking De Niro's like, hey, go marry one of them. And then we're going to get all that money flowing our direction. And then we watch for the next 3 hours and 20 minutes, because this is the first 9 minutes of the film. Exactly that.
Yeah.
No rising action, no problems, a few hiccups, maybe because he's kind of dim-witted. So like his own dim-wittedness gets him in trouble. Like, hey, make it look like a suicide. So he shot him in the back of the head and didn't leave a murder weapon. Like
that's how Hillary
like
Clinton's
that, which I thought was funny. I actually thought that was that seems like a gangster dark comedy that belongs in a Scorsese film.
Yes.
He's like, how could it freaking look like a suicide? He didn't have the murder weapon on him. He shot him in the back of the head.
That was great.
That was like, and he's like, I told him to shoot right here. Right here is where I told him to shoot him. Like stuff like that was kind of funny. There wasn't enough of that. And then like, it was, dark enough humor where like the tonally, I was like, this joke doesn't belong here. Cause like they're trying to talk about this horrible atrocity, but then they're like bringing in dark humor. It just seems misplaced. Like, and that's the other thing we talked about, pacing. The beginning was so interesting. The very beginning, there's like a sense of wonder when Leo comes to town, where he's like, this is an opportunity. There's money here. Look at all these people. Hey, I'll take your photo for family posterity. Everyone's like trying to get that money, right?
Yeah.
Everyone's hustling and bustling. And it's very interesting because you're like, this world, you see,
and they're overcharging all the Osage people. Yeah.
There's this whole scene in the funeral home. I love that, where he's like, dude, these are Osage prices. And he's like, you're married to an Osage. And she's like, these are Osage prices. You don't charge me Osage prices. And you just, and it's so odd. Like, I like the idea that like, Leo is such a scuzzy character, but like, he can easily pull off a scuzzy character. So like, that wasn't even a surprise. I've seen Django, I've seen Wolf of Wall Street. So like, that's nothing new. And Leo could always do this. I almost would have appreciated it if it was a surprise, even though like, I knew just watching the trailer, I knew Robert De Niro was the villain. No one didn't. Like with the monologue, like the land had oil on it. And do you like that money, son? Like, of course he's the villain. Like never any doubt. And then I was like, I just didn't know how much of Leo. I thought he'd be torn more like a John Smith versus Jake Sully Avatar, like he's torn because he loves the indigenous, but he's
See,
mining
that's
for
what it's
gold or
funny
whatever,
'cause
unobtainium.
when one of my
Yeah.
coworkers asked me what it was about when I was going to
Yeah.
see it, I was like, oh, it's essentially like this guy who he's married to like a Native American, and he has to either choose like if he's gonna support and like side with his family, or if he's gonna like side with like his like white people. And then I get to the movie, I'm like, oh no, there was never a doubt that he was choosing white people.
No.
Like homie was choosing white people and money, and then thirdly Native American. I was like, he did not care at
I
all.
know. And that's the other part. I just struggle to understand where Leo's motivation came from at the end. Like he literally gets in arguments with his wife. He's yelling at her that he's so despicable, obviously. But then like he all of a sudden feels like I need to do the right thing. Like, why? Is it because he tried to poison himself or because he got caught? And I just keep thinking it's because he got caught. And then he's like, oh, and then they're like, don't testify against me, son. And the moment in prison where Leo and De Niro, I thought there'd be this great reveal where he had something to do with his daughter's death. No, didn't. And again, I'm like, Leo or Martin Scorsese, take some liberty. Like, tell a more interesting story. I know, like, you're like, okay, I'm not going to embellish anything. This is going to be the most accurate. But I'm like, for goodness sake, you're using the medium of a movie. Like, you have to tell a narrative story that makes it even just an ounce more interesting, or just be like, this is exactly what the event. It was like, make a documentary then, Martin. Like,
Okay,
you don't
but
have to
if
make
you're
a
gonna
movie.
if you're gonna make a documentary, it's got to be less than 3 hours.
Or a 6. I honestly thought that was a mistake too. I was like, I don't think this kind of medium. I feel like this feels like a 10 episode Netflix series. But then again, I'm like, I don't even know where you would cut an episode, but like at least I would feel like I'm getting breaks in between because I'm like, okay, that was part of a story. But anyway, I don't know. I just like, maybe correct me if I'm wrong. Has Martin Scorsese ever had a woman lead in his movies? Does he know how to direct women?
Boxcar Bertha is like his very first film.
There you go. Like I almost feel like he should have had Lily Gladstone be the protagonist and like the main focus. I don't know why we followed Leo. There were just no surprises in the end, and I'm repeating myself, but anyway.
Yeah.
Trouble with Money. I thought all that was great, and I had to get like all these thoughts out of my head, because what do you guys think? Do you guys, if you had to do like one thing to fix this issue, like what's the one thing that you would change? Like,
just cut it shorter. I think it would have been a great film.
Cut it shorter. I honestly think that's interesting you say that.
Cut it shorter and not tell us the plan in the very beginning.
Yeah,
Like,
have some surprise.
Like you've been saying, I think the movie would have been better if we didn't know what was
Leo's
happening.
motivation. Yeah,
20 minutes telling you about the movie, and then 3 hours and 20 minutes making you watch what they just explained. You're right. It would have been kind of surprising. Like you would have maybe guessed, like, oh, maybe.
Yeah. Is Leo really? Yeah. What's his motivations? Does he really care about her or not? And you see him like start to show his colors as he starts to argue with her, and
he could have a Lord of the Rings extended edition, like, you know.
Well, because
because this movie needs an extended edition.
No,
I'm saying this is the extended edition. I'm saying he should have made a cut for the theater.
Yeah.
For me, I just felt like what would have brought more life back into it is I think there was a lot of missed suspense, kind of like Ty was talking about. I just think with the child, like that, and then as well as with the murders, I thought that they killed the people that were suspicious or onto them too quickly.
Yes.
There was like
gone.
It was like
private investigator.
It was
beaten
like problem
and gone.
resolution within 5 minutes every time, to where I wasn't anxious enough for, because I love it when I'm like, what I think great directors do oftentimes is like they make you anxious and like nervous for a bad guy, and you're like, why am I like, I should hope he gets caught. Like when I'm like, a lot of times when I watch Wolf of Wall Street, I'm like, oh, you cops. I'm like, oh wait, no, I'm on the cop side. You
start selling out the money. Get out of here, freaking feds.
Things like that I think there's missed opportunities to where you'd make it like you'd be nervous for for Leo and Robert De Niro, because you're like, oh crap, they're onto him. But then like every time they're onto him,
no
like,
cat and mouse,
over the head.
None.
And then also it would like show you who hit him. It's like, oh, it was Leo, and I was like, oh,
you know what's interesting? It's I kind of feel like we followed the people from The Big Short, you know, where the guy's talking about, he's like, it's fueled by stupidity, and he's like, and I just feel like we're following those characters that you're like, oh, these horrible people. Like, luckily we're not following them. So it is interesting. I do agree with Ty. I think to fix that problem is just following the main girl. I forget her name. I'm very sorry.
Yeah, Lily Gladstone plays Molly. But you know, it's so weird because like one other thing too with the framing, like she could be the heroine. Like, I just
Yeah.
feel like she's such a like almost robs her of her agency the entire movie. It's like
But I think
she's
that's
just weak and being taken advantage of, and it's like she's at the mercy of Leo, who just has this change of heart. And I'm like, I would have been so much more interesting at the end when she's like, what did you put in the insulin? Like, she could be more accusatory, where it's like heartbreaking because she knows, and Leo like says, it's just insulin, and he's got tears in his eyes and he's lying, and you're like, we know he's lying, so there's no tension here. What would have been great is if the entire movie, maybe De Niro gives him the poison, he goes, I won't do it, and then later she starts getting sick, and at the end she's like, what was in my insulin? And he goes, and he can't answer her, and then we're like, oh my gosh, maybe Leo did end up poisoning her or whatever. Like, Martin Scorsese loves ambiguity. He directed the freaking Shutter Island. I don't know why we couldn't have had any ambiguity in this movie. And it's like the whole point, like the very beginning, like I mentioned, there was a great juxtaposition when Leo gets there. He's bright-eyed and he's like filled with wonder. And then it's like almost immediately undercut with Lily Gladstone saying, this murder not investigated, this murder not investigated. And you're just like, people are dropping like flies. And Cameron mentioned the urgency. I was like, everyone's going to be dead by the end of this movie. But then it's
They
like,
all
and then
were.
it just, they were all dead in the first 10 minutes, which I thought was so interesting that I was so captivated. And then like, yeah. And then it's like, I'm going to marry this daughter, and then it's going to be a play of 30 years. It's like, okay, if you know anything about money, it's like it depreciates over time. So the idea you're going to marry this woman and just like be married for the next 30 years, have a kid with her, and then slowly poison her. It's just like,
It
there
honestly,
are easy ways to get money. Just go to work, get a job. My goodness. Like, you don't have to do this.
it
But
just reminded me of his last film. What's the other one he just did?
Before this?
Yeah.
I don't know. What did Scorsese direct before this?
The really long one on Netflix.
The Irishman.
The Irishman. Yeah.
Sorry.
But even that movie, like, what was his name? Freaking Al Pacino's going for it, right? Like, just like Brendan Fraser did.
Yeah, but he was only a cameo.
There wasn't enough Brendan Fraser.
Yeah,
he needed to be in it more, dude. And that's my point. Like, in the end,
and the ending, I gotta say, I loved that whole courtroom scene. That was so good.
Yeah,
I just
that was
totally
good.
thought of like Judgment Day. Just people like, bad people will have to eventually pay and for those crimes and sins, and they're gonna have to face up to all the crap they did here on Earth. And
I mean, it's wild.
I was gonna keep venting or whatever. That's fine. But
Yeah.
I just wanted to say really quick, so it's not all just a bash,
Yeah.
Martin, or try to understand why he did this movie.
Right.
I just loved like thinking about like kind of the simplicity of how it was back in the day. Like, I know you look at it as like flaws, and it is like, I think that's why he told it the way he did. It's just like, look at the whole system. It's all broken. Like, and like nobody was helping these people. Nobody knew what was going on, and nothing was being done about it. And it was basically like, oh, we're just living our lives, and then people are getting picked off one person at a time.
Yeah.
And there's a few moments
you
where
feel
they
helpless, I guess.
Yeah.
If it makes you feel frustrated and helpless, like, he's like, mission accomplished. That's what I wanted you to feel. Like, we're helpless passengers in this movie and watching it slowly
exactly
pick
like
off our loved ones.
Literally, like, and everything you were complaining about is like, well, that's how he wanted you to feel. Like, I know you're
Right.
upset about it, but that's
Right.
how they felt too. They were upset. They wanted something to happen, and nobody was helping them.
And
So-
that's one of the last things I'll say about it, which I
Mm.
wish Scorsese could have, like, and again, I'm sure they did stuff. Like, there's this great meeting where
I
the
love that
Osage
meeting.
tribe
Yeah.
are talking
I thought they
in
were
the
going to do
teepee,
something, but
and
nothing happened.
my point is, he's like, we're still warriors. We should have known when the money came, something else would come with it.
Back
I thought
in the
they were
day, we
hatching
would
a
have done
plan,
something
and
about it. Yeah.
they did nothing. And they're
Nothing.
literally discussing it with the characters that we know are bad. De Niro and freaking Leo are in the room, and they're like, white people are coming and taking all of our children and
Well,
marrying them all.
but
And it's
you-
like,
but
Leo
you-
is literally right there, bro. Like, he's doing the thing and we're just watching it.
But
and
you
we're just
also
helpless to
saw
watch it.
him. He's like, I will fix this. Come to me. And basically,
Yeah.
anybody that came to him, he would just kill them off, and they would just disappear.
I know, right?
It-
And again, like, I would have been fine if like he was the baddie, and then you find out that he influenced Leo. That would have been there's some great tension there that could have been surprise. Like, again, there was just no surprise. Everything, like you said, I'm just surprised
So-
that Martin didn't tell any storytelling device where it's like you could still be surprised, because at the end we could have learned Leo's intentions, that he was told by his uncle. And it doesn't have to be through a flashback. It literally could just be like a conversation he had later. You see him paddling him, like You're like, oh, like you watch it and you're like, well, I guess that's why he's afraid that he's gonna get spanked again. Like
I thought he was gonna chop off a finger. I was really
I
hoping.
did too. I was waiting for like blood. And he's just like spanks him, and I'm like, I guess that's all Ernest needed. He's like, oh, I'm gonna get spanked again. I guess I'll
Not
sign this
spank- it's
contract
paddled.
and get implicated.
It does hurt.
Whatever. He's spanked. And then it does hurt. You've been paddled, Jordan.
No, I just know. I've heard it does.
From who?
Hasn't Dad been paddled? I don't know, but they back in the day, like you talk to older people and they're like, yeah, we've.
No, I'm sure it hurt, but my whole point, like, this is directed by Martin Scorsese, the gangster, like he's the godfather of gangster movies, and he's like, you're gonna get spanked in this movie. I'm like,
It's
that's
a different
crazy.
time period. I know you keep talking about his other movies, like this is how this time period was. So I don't know. I see.
Was it though? Because again, there's two great things. He says we are warriors, and they do nothing. I'm like, you did nothing to demonstrate your
Exactly,
warriors.
but that's what happened. He's just retelling what happened in history. So
No,
I
no, there were. I know for a fact that there were Osage that were like, we got to do something, and they probably had militia. But again, these are complicated politically speaking, because it's like, well, we don't want to paint them as like malicious, evil.
I see what
warcraft.
you're saying.
So I feel like as an outsider with Martin Scorsese, he's like, I have to treat this with dignity, reverence and respect. So again, it's like
you focus on the less interesting part of that story. Yeah, I agree with that.
sure. Like I literally think it could have been so easy.
So do
to
we
have-
recommend?
Yeah. Do you recommend real quick? Molly's the main character, and Jesse Plemons is the antagonist to Leo. And like you see cat and mouse, he's trying to solve these murders, but then he never introduce the other fat detective that gets paddled and beaten outside his door and he just disappears. Have it be Jesse Plemons, beat him up, but he refuses to leave. Isn't this just a more interesting story? Like, understand what I'm saying. Jesse Plemons refuses to leave, and
We
Leo is
understand,
constantly angry, and the tension builds. And you're like, oh, well, in the true story, it was a private detective, and he was sent away with a tail between his legs. And then a new guy came in, and then we sent him away. It's just like, for the sake, oh my gosh, watch Chernobyl. Guess what? There was like 40 women that all helped. It was one woman. They condensed the story. She represented a lot of different people in Chernobyl. So my point is, you could have just had Jesse Plemons playing this character that refused to leave because he did believe altruistically, I'm going to help these Osage people. They're not being helped. So
he
anyway,
definitely could have gone about it a different way. Yes, I agree
Sure.
with that.
yeah. So Martin, you're an amazing man. I love you. Remake this movie, and I will watch
No.
it.
I think
No.
Remake it.
I would recommend this only to if you like There Will Be Blood. If you like There Will Be Blood,
I love There Will Be Blood, and I did not like this movie
because my
That's-
roommate Colton, There Will Be Blood is one of his favorite movies ever, and he gave this 8 out of 10. So
Interesting.
And
Yeah.
all I want to say is I don't recommend it, but I do like. I thought it was fun to appreciate, and I wanted him to get good reviews, and because I wanted the studios to think, and I wanted to make a lot of money because I wanted the studios to think like, oh, we can trust this person. I don't want them to be like, oh no, like we shouldn't take
This didn't
risks.
churn out $1 million.
I know, and then it's like let's kick them back to the curb and let's keep making superhero movies. Like I want more movies like this to be made. I'm not saying that I'm gonna love them all like this one, but like, I just appreciated it, and that's all I wanted to say about it. Because
no recommend.
but I do.
Yeah.
I will watch everything Martin does because I appreciate that he is at least willing to take a risk. So
Yeah.
even if it's not great, Nick, do you recommend it?
I will probably never talk about this movie again after today.
Yeah.
Me
Again,
neither. But
oh, breaks my
just
heart.
imagine like looking at somebody's life and just like seeing it for what it is. Like, I don't know. I just thought it was fun
Yeah.
to take a look at somebody else's life. It wasn't necessarily super interesting, but it was like, there's parts I enjoy.
But Jordan, even the slowest books don't give away their reveal. Like they keep it. At
All
the
right.
end.
I see what you're saying. Yes.
Yeah.
He definitely could have gone about it a different way. I think somewhere kind of, I don't know. Anyways, but
Real quick, can
What have we
anyone
seen
tell
lately?
me why did Leo change though? Anyone? Any reason?
There's no reason.
no,
There's no reason. I don't.
I-
Did you just feel bad enough? Like it just doesn't make sense.
I think
don't
it
know
was
why
too
he
heavy on
changed
his
it.
conscience, and he just wanted to do
Yeah.
anything possible to get it
Yeah.
off. He was just
I
like,
appreciated the
sure.
part where he like drugged himself. Like that was one part that I liked. But then like, did he get a new lease on life? Like I just don't understand.
well, I
it.
think
Yeah.
it's honestly, how I see it is he was under
Yeah.
the clutches of Robert De Niro. And
Yeah.
the second he was released, he kind of saw
Yeah.
things clearly. And he's like,
Yeah.
oh, I got to get out of this because other people
Right.
kept him away. And then he's like,
Right.
"Oh, they tortured me. They kept me in there." Yes, they tortured you. Brendan Fraser. I love that. I love him
the
telling him, "You're
police,
the
yeah.
victim here." I love that. Anyways, I think that answers the question. So, what have we seen lately, and what are we looking forward to? Cameron.
Oh, one last thing. I do have one note here. One last thing, and this is a joke. Martin Scorsese, De Niro says, "Oh, the oil's going to dry up. Money is going to run out, and then we're not going to have any money or any wealth." And I'm like, if Martin Scorsese was making a metaphor for the industry of Hollywood, I think that was his title. You. He's like, I literally have to go to Apple to make my fetching movie. Like, I'm Martin freaking Scorsese, and I have to go to
That's
Apple
a
to
good
make my
point.
movie. It's like it's going to dry up, and I think that's
And-
what. If I think that was a big view to the Hollywood industry.
Yeah, I did
That's
like
what I took it as.
that ending. You mentioned it in your review on Letterboxd. Just the them talking on the talk radio. I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, it's
Put
it's
you in the
almost like
time.
an acknowledgement of how we now consume media. Like
Yes.
podcasting is the number one thing. We're doing it right now. But anyway, I thought that was interesting too. Like an interesting choice to end it that way, where it's almost the words that are being spoken are more impactful. I know. Yeah, they share a bottle. Clink. Yeah, like, it's all really odd. Like I thought that was interesting.
I love
but,
that. That was
yeah.
great.
See, and there's plenty, to like. So guys, go see this movie and never see it again. Oh, you
like
know
I
what?
said,
If you
plenty
get
to
a history
appreciate.
class that shows this movie, yeah, you're in luck because school, being bored out of your mind at school, this is the perfect place to watch.
You know, this movie honestly
Forced
was
to
a
watch
step
it.
away from being PG-13. There was just that one scene where they lift up that
Yeah.
body and his brains were falling out. I was like, what? Everything
I
else
know,
was like,
she looks so peaceful. Like the house blew up and she's just laying there, and then they pick her up and her head like comes on. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
Also, when they were sawing out the back of her head, I was like,
know.
oh
Looking
yeah.
for the
Hey.
bullet. Oh, see that again. I really like those two doctors. Make a spin-off series of these two corrupt doctors that pronounce people dead that by accidents when they're like cutting them up and dismembering them. And then two guys from the outside are like, why the freak did you saw off her
We were
head?
looking
And
for
it's
the
like,
bullet.
we were looking for the bullet. It's like,
Honestly, Ty, I think there's a great cut in
Right.
here. I think they should cut it
Yeah.
down. I think there'd be
Yeah.
an amazing theatrical cut. This is
yeah,
the extended edition.
Actually, I saw the cut. It's the trailer and it's 2 minutes and it's perfect. It's
That's
about the
true. That is a
perfect
good
length.
cut. That was
It's
a
about the
dang good
perfect
cut.
length of this movie, and it made me want to go learn more. So watch the trailer. It'll go down as one of the top 20.
All right, I'll give
trailers
you
of all
that.
time.
That was good. All
That's
right,
good.
Cameron, what have you seen
Yeah.
lately? What are you looking forward to?
I got like 4 billion things. I'll be real quick.
Yeah, let's hear it,
I
Cameron.
watched some. Yeah, I've watched way too many movies. I have way too much time on my hand. I don't sleep. I watched some Harley Quinn. It's all right. It gets worse every season, but
Diminished returns.
yeah. But I mean, I just love the whole DC and especially Batman's universe. So I'm kind of like a sucker for it. And then I completed the Spider-Man game, all the DLCs and the main campaign on 100%, and completed all the special missions.
Spider-Man 1.
Yeah.
I
Or
need to
2.
get a girlfriend.
Is 2 out
yes.
yet? Did 2
Who's
drop?
out? Yeah.
Oh, I do need to buy
It's
that.
only for the PS5 though.
Which I have one.
Yeah, it
Big
came
brag.
out. It came out last week. And then I
Sick.
watched. And then I also watched all of Over the Garden Wall, which it's like a cartoon miniseries. It's got an 8.8 on IMDb. It's an insanely highly rated, which is really fun. And then I rewatched all of Invincible with Colton because he hadn't seen it. And dude,
Built
I'm
some
so
legs.
excited for season 2. Oh my
Dude,
god.
it is an
Dude.
amazing show.
It's a good show. Nick, did you watch
you need to
Invincible?
get on it.
Bro,
did-
Nick,
Nick,
I
just-
I don't
knowing
have
you,
time like you guys, so
think you would.
It's
I think
45.
you would
It's
really
8
enjoy
45-minute
it.
episodes.
oh my gosh.
And then
Wait, Nick, did you care for The Walking Dead at all?
No, it's just
No.
it's not.
Do you like The Boys?
I mean, I watched the first 2 seasons of The Boys.
Yeah,
Cool.
me too. I think I kind of dropped off, but I did like the first 2 seasons. I think this is
It's
kinda
the
like-
boys,
it's
but
like-
like 100 times better.
yeah, it's like the
I-
boys except tighter writing and less. And
Oh,
then
so it's even worse than The Boys. No.
I don't see. I was like, Cameron, you're not selling Nick on this.
and then I watched Reptile, which I thought was good. I just like serial killer movies and like thriller. And then I rewatched Fight Club because I'd watched like half of it and I just like wasn't really into it the first time I watched it. Rewatched it like fully all the way through. I was really impressed. I think some people just like way overhype it. They're like, if you don't, it's not near top 10, you don't understand it. I'm like, oh, no, I understand it. Like, I feel like it's that, like, if you're 19 years old and you saw this for the first time, not knowing the twist, I feel like this would be
It'll
like the
shake
best
your
movie of
world.
all time. Yeah, you're
Yes.
like, I don't need to get a job.
Yes.
I'm just gonna torture myself to a point where no one can force me to do anything.
I literally was talking about it in college. I was writing essays about it because I was
exactly.
like,
So
I
like,
saw it and I was like, this shook my world.
yeah, I feel like it would be life changing if I was like 18 years old and I'd just be like, oh my gosh,
Like Donnie Darko.
Yeah, true. So
Yeah.
I feel like it's very like kind of in that vein. I still thought it was really good. I mean, the performances are insane. Even knowing the twist, I was still like, wow.
Yeah.
I feel like it did what Joker was trying to do a little bit better. That's like my only gripe with Joker is I felt like that whole twist in Joker, I was still like, whoa. But like this one was like, oh my.
The Joaquin Phoenix movie?
Yeah, just like how the
okay.
girl wasn't real. Or like how they didn't have a relationship. It was all in his head.
Right.
And then I watched Fruitvale Station. Oh my gosh.
I watched it too.
It made my top 100. It's so depressing.
It's good.
It's super tight. It's like an hour 20 minutes. It's just essentially
I need to see your top 100. Yeah.
It shows like a day in the life of this guy who ended up being killed by police brutality. It was just like it was just him and his like family on New Year's Eve or whatever, and then he went out to party, and then like there was a fight that started on the train or whatever, and then a guy went to tase him apparently, and then accidentally pulled his gun and shot him in the back, and then like he died in the hospital. So sad.
Well, let's just pause on this one. Tell the rest in a minute. I realized how late it was. Nick, do you want to share what you've seen lately really quick, and then you can dip out if you need to go to bed or whatever?
You need to go to bed or whatever.
Okay, I'll edit this out. I'm sorry. All right.
Nick's having a great time.
I just want to make sure you want to keep coming on episodes, and you're like, holy crap, I can't keep coming on. You guys talk too much.
Yeah.
I mean, you guys do talk too much, and if anyone does watch this, they have stopped a very much time ago.
And then I watched I showed Colton Palm Springs because he hadn't seen it and been on his watch list.
I rewatched that too with Tatiana.
Is
super
that the
fun.
Adam Sandberg one?
Andy Sandberg, yeah. For me, it's just like it's like a B version of Groundhog Day, and I think it's super fun.
Did you like it? Is it a map of?
You're such a hater of Andy Samberg yourself.
Yeah,
dude.
slow down. Was it the map of Tiny Perfect Things? Did you guys see that one?
Yeah.
No.
I think Map of Tiny Perfect Things is a tad bit better than this.
Yeah.
But
this happens. These dual movies keep coming out where it's like two movies are Illusionist and The Prestige. Anyway.
I feel like Palm Springs has much better humor, but I felt like overall Map of Tiny Perfect Things hit better. And then I watched Promising Young Woman, extremely underwhelmed. The movie kind of sucked.
You might say she's not such a promising
woman. It was supposed to be a women's serial killer movie, and I was like, let's go. And then it was like ambiguous on whether or not she was actually a killer at all, and then she, spoiler, ends up getting killed.
Cameron, you need to watch
but she got
American
back at him
Psycho.
She's not going to jail. I'm like, but you died. Like,
Cameron, have you seen American Psycho?
Yes.
Okay. When you said he might be killing people or she might not be, it made me think of American
Well,
Psycho.
no, that's what I don't know. It just and it was like all the men in this were deplorable except there was one redeeming guy who she ended up getting in a relationship with, and it was because you find out that she like hates men or whatever because like her friend was and then it wasn't reported, or like it was reported but it wasn't like taken seriously, and then she starts having a relationship with this guy, and then it ends up like the guy was a witness to the and didn't say anything, and I was like, is every man just would someone if they had the chance, or like would see someone get and not report it? I'm like, what's the message of this movie? This movie sucks. And then oh my gosh. And then I watched Secret Life of Walter Mitty because I'd watched it before The Great Awakening and like in high school, and I thought it was good, but I didn't really super love and appreciate it. But going back on the rewatch, I mean, excellent soundtrack's amazing. Everything, like, it was super well done. And then I watched Silence. See, Silence
That's an odd one for Ben Stiller, right? Can I just say that? Like, I love Ben Stiller's comedy, but like, it's more of a beautiful film, and I just think it's odd that
because normally Ben Stiller's only capable of making movies that make you extremely uncomfortable and never want to watch it ever again. So this one, unlike that, makes you feel good.
Yeah, you can watch. This is like the only Ben Stiller you can watch with your parents.
Yes, exactly. And then I watched Silence, which so depressing, but like so beautiful.
Dude, Liam Neeson, that is their god. It's like
Well,
that's the word for God. Like,
I-
oh, dude, the
yeah,
son
I hated the ending,
dead
but I
God.
mean, it's
Don't
like
spoil. I'm still to finish
it's
it.
a true story. So I'm like, I hate this even more because I'm like, this is real and it's even
See,
more depressing.
Silence. Yeah, that's another slow,
Uh,
punishing movie. There's a Scorsese movie that's very much like Killers of the Flower Moon.
Yeah. And then I watched King of Staten Island because you guys been recommending that. Depressing but good at the same time.
It said you
Oh, that's the
rewatched it
Pete
though.
Davidson one, right?
Oh, it's because I
The
accidentally reviewed
the-
it, but
the-
then didn't. Right. Yeah, the Pete
Oh.
the
Davidson.
Judd
one.
Apatow. I love that movie. That actually
Gotcha.
won me over to Pete Davidson because
Yeah, and I
I
can
did
totally
not
see why it
understand.
did.
I didn't know who he was.
Well, you
All
liked
I
him in
had to-
Bodies, Bodies, Bodies.
No, true, but I saw that after this movie is
Oh,
what
that's
got
right.
me
You're right.
on
You're right.
Yeah.
Team Pete Davidson. Like,
Yeah.
all I heard that he was some like SNL, but again, I'm like the Andy Samberg. That's my age group. Andy Samberg, Bill Hader, and all the Kristen Wiig,
Jordan
where
Hayes.
and Maya Rudolph and Fred Armisen. Like that's my SNL, right? And Kara, who was yours? Who's your SNL?
I didn't watch a
group?
ton of SNL. But like I would watch some of like Andy Samberg, but I was mainly
Okay.
like I was more Key and Peele.
Key and Peele. Yeah. See, we have like these different age groups. So, but it's funny that you mentioned. Oh shoot, I lost my train of thought. Don't remember what I was going to say. But
King
anyway.
of Staten Island.
Oh yeah. But just Pete Davidson was from SNL. That's all I knew about him. And then like he dated Kardashian, and then like he dated what? Did he like
He
date the Queen of
he
England or
dated-
something?
He's dated so many famous hot women. It's insane.
Right. And you're just like, what on earth is going on? But anyway, I watched this movie and I was like, he's like a really fun, genuine guy. At least that's how he came off in the movie. And it was a movie close to him because it was his story, correct? He lost his father in a
Yeah.
fire.
So his dad
Through-
died as a firefighter.
Died
in
as a
9/11.
fireman. And that's like the whole movie. It's like based off his life. And I was like, it was very touching and it was very honest. And he made me laugh a lot. There's this really funny scene in that movie where he's sitting with his friends and he's like, hey man, knock knock, who's there? Not your dad because he's dead. And they all start laughing and Pete Davidson just like forces this laughter that makes me laugh every time. Like he pretends to be laughing with his group of friends and he's like
I also
trying
love
to
when he tries to give
crying.
the kid a
So-
tattoo out in the woods.
give me
He's
like
like,
a minor
do you
tattoo.
consent? He's like, all right, that could hold up in court. I'm like,
So how many
everyone's like,
movies are we actually reviewing this podcast? Because we've like literally talked about like 18.
That's why I told you, Nick, go now because
I have a
we're
quick
going-
question. I want to just ask something as Cameron's explaining all these movies you just said. Just in what time frame?
in the
Two
past
weeks.
2 weeks.
As all 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Work?
Yeah.
Am I the only one that works around here? What's going on
And
here?
Nick, I'm with you,
I
dude.
work
I
and I
literally
go to
don't have a
school.
single other movie than Killers of the Flower Moon that I've seen.
I
Like, don't
work
have a
and I go
single
to
other movie.
school, and I've watched 26 movies in the past 2 weeks.
I watched Die Hard in the last 2 weeks. I watched Die Hard and Die Hard 2.
Yes, Die Hard.
And just for the heck of it, because I couldn't sleep, I watched Die Hard 3.
Yes.
Hey,
Do you
I
know?
like 1 and 3. Those are good.
You know, I showed my wife American Pie, Nick. She didn't like
Oh, I love American Pie.
it. I know you love it.
That's going to be the next thing I'm going to watch. I'm watching American Pie. And I got to go because my battery's going to die. And my
Okay.
All
Nick,
right.
thanks for coming on. We love you, man.
But I will tell you what I am excited about coming in November. I don't know if it's going to be any good, but
Killer?
it's on Apple, Monarch. I wonder if that's going to be any good. It's pretty
Monarch?
cool.
Monarch?
Godzilla type thing. Yeah, it's called Monarch, man. It's coming up on
I haven't heard of it.
Yeah, Monarch.
Better be better than that Alien movie.
Monarch Legacy of Monsters. I don't know. It looks pretty cool.
You keep talking about that alien movie. I want to see
Yeah,
it.
Nick,
No
it
One
better
Will
be
Save
better
You.
than that Alien movie.
I
we
want to see No
watched.
One Will Save You. Quit bashing it. Now my hopes are so low.
Nick
I'm
liked
sure-
it on his second view.
It looks decent. It's like Godzilla or something. I don't know. It just looks cool.
Monarch. Oh,
Very cool.
Okay.
Yes.
Ty,
Excellent.
hit us
Nick-
up.
Yeah. Oh, camera's not
Oh.
done, dude.
Oh, you're not
Cameron,
done?
Keep going.
No,
Dude, I don't
bro.
have like
Oh my
anything.
gosh, sorry. I gotta wake up.
So that's why I had to just cut in there because like
Okay, I'll just go quick. I won't talk out of. I watched Shane Gillis.
No. Peace,
Beautiful
Nick. If you have to
thoughts.
go. Yeah.
Ty's like, get off. We want to keep
Yeah.
talking.
This is
Yeah,
why
I know
this
you
is
want to
cathartic
talk.
for
Keep
me.
going for as long as you must. You guys have a good night. All my fans. Yeah.
Take it easy, Nick.
Bye,
Um,
Nick.
I watched the Shane Gillis Beautiful Dog stand-up bit. Ty, I think you would really like that.
Wait, you're pranking me, right?
Was that the one that you recommended?
That's the freaking one I recommended, and now you're telling
Okay.
me like, oh, I think you'd like it. I recommended it to you guys.
Okay, that's funny because like one of my coworkers also recommended it to me, and he was like, "You
Okay.
love this."
I loved it, dude. It's the
So
funniest
funny.
thing, dude.
Did you read my comment onto you? I'm like somebody that speaks Cameron's language.
Yeah, for real. I love it.
Hilarious.
I love when
So
he was
funny.
talking about like early onset Republican and stuff like that. Just a
If you're-
lot of things. And
I'm
he was
just interested in World War II, and you're a white guy. He's
Yeah,
like,
he's
it's
like,
coming.
it's coming.
I just
also-
like the talking about the guys with the bazooka. He's like, I think I would be more like the
Oh!
American. Yeah.
Oh!
Oh shoot! And he's like falling over, shooting bazookas. And then the American's like, he's dead.
Clear. Yeah,
Clear.
clear. He's like, I relate nothing to that. He's like, that guy's a
Soulless.
psychopath. And I love too when he's talking about his uncle. He's like, I'm not making the sandwiches. He's like, I'm making the sandwiches. He's like, I know that grilling those grilled cheese late at night. He's like, I'm not doing that. And he's like, I'm doing that.
I'm really doing that.
So
This is so funny.
And then I watched Lady in the Water with Jordan and Mom. I'm not a big M. Night guy anyway.
Was this your first watch of it?
Yeah, I thought it was like it was okay. Like
No, Cameron, say it was M. Night Shyamalan directed a movie where he is the single most important man.
That's what I told Jordan the
In
moment.
the
I said,
universe.
of course, he cast himself as the most important protagonist. I was
It's
like,
amazing.
literally,
Yeah.
he's
Who's going to
he's
write
so
a
vain,
story
it's
that
insane.
is so important. Dude, bless that poor guy's heart, dude. He
That's
wrote
right. He's
two
good.
movies
He's
back
like-
to back, and he's like, I am the next thing.
No,
I'm
don't
the-
compare him to Jim Cummings.
No,
Don't
I
even
was-
think about.
I
comparing him
didn't.
to
I
Jim
said
Cummings.
Darren Aronofsky. He's got that same mentality where like I am the best.
Yeah.
I'm
No,
okay
who
with
else?
it.
Who else did the three movies? We were just laughing about this. Was it? Is it Jordan Peele?
3 movies.
His third movie had to do with aliens, and that was M. Night Shyamalan.
That was
Yeah.
you comparing.
Jordan Peele is
those
doing
two.
the M. Night Shyamalan. Cameron, hear me out. His first two movies were
my
like a hit,
gosh.
right? Nope was the most important. Sixth Sense for M. Night Shyamalan, and then the second. Then there's themes throughout the movies that are so similar. But anyway, the third movie was Signs, as was for Nope. Was the
Yeah.
because he did Unbreakable, yeah, Unbreakable, then Sixth Sense, and then Signs, and he did like a superhero movie. Jordan Peele, I'm just like, oh
Get
my
Out
gosh,
and
he
Us, yeah.
resorted to aliens for the third movie, and I'm like, Jordan Peele's never going to make a good movie again. And
Let's hope not.
maybe years later he'll do a really good movie with like James McAvoy or something, a little indie film
Yeah.
called Split.
And then so yeah, I mean, I'm not a big fan, so it was okay. And then I watched.
This is the moment where I turn around and I jump through that doorway, and you narrowly miss me by seconds. And he turns around and just gets murked by the dog immediately.
I love Lady in the Water.
I will
Um,
say, Paul Giamatti can make me cry because he is the sweetest, most
Oh,
genuine actor
He's a
out
great
there, man.
actor.
Oh, which reminds me, one movie I am excited before I forget it. It's like
The teacher one. It's
the
like
te-
Breakfast
yes.
Club wannabe. Yeah.
Yes, but I do want to see that. The Leftovers, I think it's called.
Yeah.
And it just looks very sweet. And I want to see that. So
Yeah.
don't let me forget about that movie.
Also Killer by David Fincher starring Michael Fassbender comes out this upcoming month.
Oh, thank you for
November.
reminding me. I forgot.
Interesting.
So excited. And
Okay,
it
there you
releases,
go.
I think, in theaters like November 3rd and then on Netflix November 16th. Or
It's
it might not even
David
go to
Fincher
theaters.
and Michael Fassbender called
Mhm.
Killer.
And he's like a killer who's like super like OCD. So
I'm not gonna lie, after this Scorsese debacle with Killers of the Flower Moon, I'm like, I'm not gonna go to the movie theaters anymore. And then you're like, but what's this you tell me about Sherman and Michael Fassbender?
That's what I'm saying, dude.
I guess I might
I
find
lo-
myself in the cinema again.
And honestly, Napoleon looks interesting. Like,
Yes, Ridley
I-
Scott, Napoleon,
like, I
Joaquin
think-
Phoenix.
I think anything Joaquin is in is like his performance is going to be great.
Yeah,
Like, I just know there's going to be so much because it's Napoleon. They're like, he was a big. I'm like, oh gosh, it's about to be a third of this movie. It's about to be.
I didn't know anything about that. I mean, I guess he was a French. All of them are, all
Oh,
French people.
geez.
Sorry to generalize an audience, but yeah, when I saw the trailer, the first trailer didn't have any of that, and then the second one, I'm watching with my father-in-law, and he's just like the thing you most desire, and she's like standing there with her. I'm like,
That
"This
was
is
like
so
Wolf of Wall
uncomfortable."
Street. I was like, what? in
Yeah,
the
I was
world?
like, this is so uncomfortable, and he's just like slowly, he's like, it's just like he looks like Peter Sellers in a Pink Panther movie.
Yeah.
Like, he's just so clueless. Like, oh my gosh.
That's
Anyway.
And then I also watched Manhunter because Jordan loves that movie. for me, I thought there was like a lot of really good aspects. I didn't love the ending. I felt like the ending turning to an 80s action film. The moment he smashed through the window, I was like, what the like, I'm like, is this just now like Die Hard? Where he's like, I'm like, it was like a good
It's the
like
man that made
thriller.
Heat, Cameron.
I know it. I
You
know
can't
who
not have a
Michael Mann
shootout.
Is it Michael Mann?
Yeah.
Yeah, Michael Mann.
Yeah,
And I felt like it for me, I felt like it was just a slightly worse version of Silence of the Lambs, just because I think they focused on the wrong thing. This movie focused on the detective, which made it a little more forgettable, whereas Silence of the Lambs focused on what's his name? Gladys.
Oh,
Highly disagree.
well,
What's his
well, if you're gonna say that they focused on the killer, he's only in it for like 8 minutes. You're talking
I mean,
about
well, he steals
what's
the
his
show.
name? I can't think of his name.
Yeah.
Anthony Hopkins. Yeah.
Anthony Hopkins, yeah, but like,
Well, yeah, he steals every scene he's in, yeah, for sure.
but like that's why I just felt like that was a little I don't know. I just feel like Silence of the Lambs is a more well done Manhunter. I know
It's
Jordan
okay,
will
Cameron.
disagree.
I thought I fell asleep. It took a couple times to get through
I think
Manhunter.
I think the
Was
color
it as good as All the Little Things with Jared Leto plays?
Oh, way
I think
better.
I think better than that.
Yeah.
And
I
then
like Little Things.
I hated that movie.
I know,
No, you
but it is
don't.
better than that. I didn't mind the little things. And then I watched
That's
Sound of Metal. Man,
Oh, Riz Ahmed. I love
Yeah.
that movie. Yes, the drummer loses
yeah,
his
I was
hearing.
like, this
Dude.
this is his life if he didn't take the job with Jake Gyllenhaal, Nightcrawler, and he decided to become a drummer. I'm like, he shouldn't have taken that job. No, but like, it's I think it's one of the best representations. I feel like film sometimes they try too hard to show like the hopeful moments of like overcoming hard things, and they show it's like essentially like this, but it's like it's so much like going through something hard is so much up and down, and so I love just the
Right.
moments where he's just like,
Did you see
Yeah,
Joaquin Phoenix's movie about him in the wheelchair? Same thing. It is the most
Really?
depressing movie. Just him dealing
Joaquin
with that
Phoenix.
hardship. It's
because I
like
felt like
he can't get far on foot or something like that.
Oh yeah, was that
'cause-
Jack Black and
Yeah, Jack
Joaquin?
Black's in it.
because
I did want to see that. Was that good, Jordan?
I liked it. It's
Punishing?
like I haven't finished the metal one yet, but I'm assuming it's
Because this
Oh,
kind of
it's a
reminded
good
me
one.
also of Stronger by Jake Gyllenhaal, essentially talking about the Boston bombing victim guy
Yeah,
and just kind
that's
of
a
the
good
complications that come from that as well. And yeah, just like I don't know if I would ever watch it again, but like because it's so like taxing and it's just like but like the use of sound in it is so beautiful. Like the moments of just silence, and then like I don't know, it's so interesting, and I love just kind of like the overall message of it.
He
And
was
then I
in
watched,
everything after Venom, I swear.
Yeah.
Like there was Sound of Metal, and then there was the other movie where he sees aliens. Did you see that one? It's like another one about mental illness. It's a very interesting movie. I don't know if it's called Invasion, it's called something, but he believes the world's being like overtaken and overrun by aliens. It's very
like Black
interesting.
Mirror. Interesting.
He's like he suffers from schizophrenia and he's got 2 boys. It's a heart-wrenching movie.
And then I
But,
watched Scarface. Holy cow, I didn't know how many iconic
Al
lines were in
Pacino,
that
the
movie.
Al Pacino one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, this is insane. Also, like,
Say hello to my little friend.
my little friend, it's in the eyes.
Doing a
Chico.
mountain of
They
color,
never
just
lie.
like, I just
I
love
love his friend. He's like, all you got to do to get an American woman, this is how I pick up chicks in this country. You go up to American women. He's like, put that tongue away, man. And then the girl smacks him. Oh, so beautiful. I will say that the sister scene was weird as frick when she's like, I was like, oh. Yeah, but Tony Montana, I in my Letterboxd review, I talked about, I'm like, this movie is literally Wolf of Wall Street meets Goodfellas. I'm like, it's just rise and fall of Jordan. I said if Jordan Belfort switched out
it's the corrupt
for flickies or
exactly. It's the corrupt capitalists. Yeah, I love these movies for greed and power, and then one little mess up, they get too high off their own supply, and then
kind of like Killers of the Flower Moon.
Yeah,
is that going to be the new corrupt? But
and then anyway, before Ty gets back into Killers of the Flower Moon, I also watched City of God, which is in my top 100 now.
Oh yeah,
holy cow! I mean, like it just essentially talks about the favela in Rio de Janeiro. Or
is
Rio,
it like Slumdog?
it.
I would just always call it the other Slumdog Millionaire movie for some reason. Nothing like it.
No, it's like from what I understand of like what one of my buddies told me about Hotel Rwanda. It's essentially like that, except just like Brazil, and just like it's essentially shows that there's no such thing as like good and bad people or decisions. It's just like so much of your life is determined by circumstances. It's like there's 8-year-olds who are like part of like drug factions and like murdering other like 6-year-olds, and it's just like
horrific
oh my God.
stuff.
Yeah.
And
so
it's like that lighthearted Slumdog movie.
yeah, nothing like that. It's just
What?
it's just
Slumdog, there was parts where they were chopping off body parts for kids so they could get more money. How is that?
but I mean, like
I have not seen Slumdog for a long time.
Yeah,
I
you've
do
not
not
seen
remember
it for
this
a
plot
long-
point.
Yes.
Yeah, I remember feeling like it was like Pinocchio. That sounds weird. But no, but like, hear me out. The kid, he kind of goes on a journey like Pinocchio, where you see horrific things and he escapes. Thankfully, he kind
Okay.
of goes untouched. I think that's pretty apt. It's
Yeah,
like
the
Pinocchio.
island
Indian
is like
people aren't real
that's because
boys.
that donkey island messed Ty up when he was a kid.
Dude.
That's Donkey Island.
No, dude. Freaking...
And then but yeah,
so
like,
terrifying.
the
dude. It's a
performances
horror
in City
movie.
of God were so amazing.
Yeah.
And then I also watched another movie that made my top 100, The Godfather. Like, man, you
Like-
want to talk about how to pace a movie? Like,
Dude.
also some of the most satisfying revenge kills of all time.
Dude,
oh my God.
the entire
You think I would
scene
make
of
my
the-
sister a widow? When he said that, I was like, yes, I 100% think you would make your sister a widow. There wasn't a single doubt.
What's the matter with you?
And then I watched like a 10-minute video describing about like the lighter scene of how like his hand isn't shaking and how he kind of looks at it. And it's just like it's super interesting. Like
amazing.
I think it's one of the best character studies of showing a guy change into the role that essentially he was born to play.
The restaurant scene, I just watched that. Like, so there's like 10 movie scenes, Cameron. Like the restaurant scene where he's there and he's just like I'm gonna say shifty eyes, but he's not doing Kevin
Like,
shifty
yeah.
eyes. But he's just like he is the what was it? Alfred Hitchcock said, like, you know what's so interesting about a scene is if you know there's a bomb there and then but the characters don't know it's there. It's called like dramatic irony.
Yeah.
And that, like, the gun is in the bathroom and he's just like knows what he has to do, and the conversation, it doesn't matter what they're talking about, like, you know where it's going to end. That's like, even the way he got shot in the head and like didn't die, right, it freaks me out. Like, it's so real and visceral.
And
it's
I even think it's
weird,
creepier because
powerful.
I think he personally decided, like, I think he was too scared to shoot him in the behind, but then he was like, you know what, I want to kill this dude. Like, if I'm gonna kill him, look him in the eye.
Right.
And I think that's also kind of when he started to turn, when you're like, and then at first I was also like, why is there this whole side quest in Italy and he gets married? I'm like, what's the purpose of it? And then I realized that he is the protagonist, because I thought the dad was the protagonist because it's called The Godfather.
Well, and he was not,
and you're like,
yeah.
Oh my gosh. He's like, oh, I can have a happy life, but then it's like, no, you can't. You were born into this family. You can't have a happy life without, like, unless you're willing to kill people. And so, yeah, I mean,
even the closing of the door of Dan Keaton, you know, just like, dude, there's so much in that. That's so crazy. I haven't seen it in a long time.
Well, we have to break it down on a whole episode because there's too much to talk about.
Yeah, we'll have to.
And then I watched the new Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Have you seen the second one though, Cameron? Sorry, I want to ask.
I'm a big fan, as you can tell.
Have you seen the second Godfather though?
No.
Oh, okay. Yeah, okay.
So no spoilers.
Because it too is like, that's the crazy thing. It's like,
just
it's great.
part 3.
I haven't seen part 3 and I never will. There's no reason to.
Although
I did see Al Pacino crying on the steps.
Okay. Also, when I was watching The Godfather, I was like, dude, that guy looks a lot like Al Pacino. And then Colton was like, it is Al Pacino. I'm like, what? Dude, he looks, especially after just watching Scarface, I'm like, those are two different human beings. I'm like,
that is
Al Pacino in Godfather looks like a dude who looks like Al Pacino. I'm like, that is not Al Pacino, bro.
How much younger?
Crazy.
He's like, what is he, like 10 years
young.
younger though, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Looks like a baby.
Because Scarface is 83.
80.
And then Godfather's 72. So
it's almost a decade later. So I get that you could get confused.
How dark skinned he is in Scarface, and just like his whole different demeanor, like he's just like an unhinged, like kind of hustler. And then in The Godfather, he's just so composed,
straight,
like, scary,
composed,
like,
yeah.
Like anyone who,
which is so sad because I think of Al Pacino now, and we all like mock it. Whoa, he's like, this big.
You can come into my house and watch my life. It's like, I can't use my team, baby.
And then you watch Godfather and you're like, this guy was an amazing composed actor.
yeah.
Like, where is that guy gone to?
Well, for me, I feel like it's similar to like kind of Joaquin. Like Joaquin's great at playing that stoic vibe, but it's like in Joker when he needs to get unhinged, like he does a great job at playing like a character. And even like in Joaquin in Gladiator, freaky as like golly, sister, you sicko. And then I watched Marriage Story.
Dude, he was like 24, I think, or 25. He was in his 20s when he did that,
Yeah,
which
he
is
was
so
so
weird.
young. He did so
was
good.
so young.
And then
Crazy.
I watched Marriage Story. I'd already seen it before, but I hadn't seen it post divorce. And my gosh, this movie hit crazy different after being divorced. I was just like,
only imagine, dude.
And for me,
Ray Liotta's great.
It's probably in my top.
Rest in peace, man.
It's probably my top 10 scenes of all time. Was Adam Driver singing? It's so interesting. He's like talking about. He's recounting like a piece from a play in the 70s about a guy essentially complaining to his married friends because he's like he just hit his like 35th birthday and he's not married, and he's talking about like all the bad things about marriage. Like, why would anyone want to get married? Because he's like someone to. He's like, love you too much, hurt you too deep, to sit in your chair, to ruin your sleep, like all these different things. And then he has this moment and they say like, oh, okay, make your wish for your birthday. And then he wishes for all of those things. He says, I want someone to hurt me too deep, to love me too much, to like ruin my sleep, to sit in my chair. And it's just so beautiful where you essentially see Adam Driver be like, all those terrible things about like marriage is like the exact reason why people get back into love. It's because it's like, even though all of that is so painful, it's like it's all worth it to essentially get back on the horse and like try to find that love again. So I just thought it was so beautiful.
You heard it first here, folks. Cameron is not giving up. Ladies out there listening.
Well, I did start it, and then I got so much anxiety. I was like, I can't watch this right now.
Yeah,
it's I was
tell me about it. When they're arguing, I'm like, oh man.
Yeah, you have to be emotionally in a good place.
Yeah, that's probably
in a
fair.
really bad place.
Yeah,
yeah, I guess.
That's funny. Yeah, I never thought of it that way. That must have been pretty wild watching that now.
Because I watched it when I was single and I about had a heart attack. I'm like, I'll never get married.
Yeah, no, yeah, it's
you must be like, I'll never want that. I never want that.
And then I watched Before Sunrise. I was really impressed. It reminds me of a bunch of different movies. It actually reminds me a lot, weirdly, to Lost in Translation. It's essentially,
is that the first one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's Ethan Hawke and I do want to see this movie. Is it good? It's good.
Yeah, I think it's really well done. And like, for me, it reminds me a lot of just kind of like, it's one of those movies. It's kind of funny. It almost like spurred the genre of like, you're in a person's life for one day, but like you change the course of it, or like a small period of time, but it's like, yeah, you change the course of it. And it's like, you may never meet each other again, but it's like, but you guys like played a significant part of this person's life, being in their life for a small time. So it's like, like super well done. I mean, there's celestial eye contact. The amount of the eye contact they have in this, the chemistry is insane. Like just that alone, I'm like, holy cow.
It's completely a relationship shared emotionally through stairs, right? It makes you think of the
this is what Twilight
trailer.
was trying to be.
They just
then
have a relationship in stairs. Yeah, they just stare at each other.
And then I watched My Neighbor Totoro. Animation. I thought I listened to that song like 6 times after I finished the movie. It's so fun. Especially the Japanese version of it is so fun.
I love My Neighbor Totoro.
And I was really impressed the art style. I just thought it kind of captured a lot of like the beauty of life and like the beauty and simplicity of like, there was no score. The only sound you ever heard was the wind or the crickets. So I thought it was like really interesting. And I just thought it was like really fun, almost like the beauty of believing. Because it's like you can argue whether or not any of it was real.
And isn't Totoro look like Snorlax, the best Pokemon?
He does. Oh no! I love him.
Is he the best Pokemon though?
His little umbrella. What a baller!
Snorlax can surf, man.
See, but I think that
has to do with buoyancy.
It's so interesting, like also how it's such a lighthearted movie and yet so impactful with like the mother and like the complicated like emotion. I don't know. It was amazing. And then I watched Room. Brie Larson's only good movie. She still kind of sucks in this movie.
Yeah, I mean, it's more of the story. Yeah,
I'll give her a slight pass because she was for 7 years, so I'll give her a slight pass for some character flaws. But like,
That was a shocking movie. I remember watching it being
Yeah.
like, is it based on a true story at
Yeah,
all? I'm
I
sure.
think so.
Well, what
Yeah.
I
blew
mean,
my
stories
mind
like
is
this
like
do happen, yeah.
Yeah.
when spoiler they get out, and I'm like, there's 52 minutes of runtime. What is going to happen? And then it's just like shows all the after effects. I'm like, oh my
Right.
gosh. And then she tries to kill herself, and I was like, oh my gosh, this movie is so depressing. But then
Yeah.
ends on a more hopeful note. But still, I was like, holy cow, this movie. Like, I never want to watch it again.
I guess I
really
thought
well made.
largely of Elizabeth Smart and like her experience, like stories like
but
that. Yeah.
there
Any
is-
kidnapped victim is
There's plenty of
But
stories
dude,
like this.
to have a
Right,
kid
right.
in
in
dude,
County-
that reporter. Well, technically, he's his father. I'm like, literally yourself. She was, and like, obviously, she's not. She knows that it's actually the biological father. She's like, well, actually, it's her father. And she's like, no, he's not the father. Like, a father insinuates that he was there for her and loves. And she's like,
Right.
well, he's the biological father. And I'm like, oh man, someone killed this freaking reporter. She reminds me of the reporter in Gone Girl. I was like, she's gotta die.
Senator, when exactly did you stop beating your wife? It's
Exactly.
like, what?
And then just because I've been on a depressing vibe, I watched The Grave of Fireflies.
Hi, this is about as close to The Road
Oh,
as it gets.
Yeah.
No.
Ty's
Cameron,
like,
have
not
you watched
another
The
road.
You watched The Road.
It's
It's
basically what you were talking about, Cameron.
The
It's the most
least
depressing.
rewatchable movie of all time. I
It's-
can't watch that movie.
Yeah, Grave of
Grave of
Fireflies.
Fireflies is
It made
there.
my top 100,
It's up
but
there.
it's oh my gosh, it's essentially just shows what it would like. It's the Japanese perspective of World War II, and then like after attacks, and then also like it's so sad because like their own countrymen aren't there to support him, and essentially like it's this kid who his dad died in the war, his mom died in a bombing, and he's trying to take care of his sister, and then his aunt is like, you're ungrateful, and then so like, and she's just like a total and then he essentially is like out living on his own, and then like him and his sister are like dying of malnourishment, and it's just like
It's The Road.
Sounds
It
like a good
literally
time. Yeah.
and it's like and then it's like him getting
Sounds like
tackled
a
by
good hang.
farmers, and farmers like beating him because he's stealing crops because he's trying to feed his starving sister, and I'm just like, somebody give him some rice, bro. Cut him some slack. But like everyone else is starving, so I understand.
yeah.
So it's like,
Right.
it's
Jeez,
just
hard
so
times,
terrible.
It's the most depressing movie.
And it's like him trying to make like decisions on like how to, because like he knew the moment, because his mom was cooked, bro. She was like extra crispy bacon when she, like her skin was all fried, and just like he knew the moment he saw her that she was gonna die. But he told his sister like, oh, she's gonna get better, like, and we can go see her when she gets better. And he was just trying to figure out the moment to break it to her that she was dead.
Sounds like
And then
is
the
it
aunt,
Beautiful
the aunt's like,
Lie, A Beautiful Liar. Is that what it is?
Oh yeah, was that with Robin Williams?
No, or well,
Yeah.
okay, but there's the one with the one Italian guy. He's like he's
Life is
trying to
Beautiful.
entertain this young
Yeah.
kid in the Nazi.
That's
German camp,
called
right.
Life is Beautiful.
Life is Beautiful. Thank you.
yeah, that's one of my buddies. It's in his.
That's not Robin Williams.
of all time.
No, well, Jacob the Liar is,
Yeah, I know. Sorry.
and that is also about a Nazi camp and him telling a big lie to people to try to keep them happy.
Yeah.
Well,
so
you know what?
yeah,
I
mean,
seen
it's
Jacob.
just
I've seen Life is Beautiful. I haven't seen Jacob.
also, I mean, if like, I mean, Jordan, you haven't seen it, right? If you like,
What?
oh, you have seen it. You have seen it.
Grave of Firefly, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like the art is so beautiful, but yeah, the message is
feels
just,
like Studio Ghibli movies.
like I like. I mean, I started at like 1:30 and I finished this movie at like 3 a.m. and I was just like, I was just like so sad. I've never been impacted by a movie so much. I was just like, oh my gosh, like I don't know. I just felt like I just needed to
I
like.
think it's really interesting and remarkable that a movie that can really transport you, because like for me, like my mission kind of served as like a conduit where you get to experience a third world country, and you're just like, you're given such an immense gratitude for what we have. But you watch movies like that and you're just like, oh my gosh, like all the trivial things I complain about in the day, and you just watch these people starving, and it's just literally like, I'm just trying to get by. I'm trying to feed my family, and it's just like it's just an uphill battle constantly.
Oh yeah, and there's just like this, so like for me the moment, like, because Jordan and Ty know how much of a serial killer I am and how rarely I cry. There's a moment where like his like 4-year-old sister, or like 6-year-old, however old she is, she's like, I made you some rice balls, and she like slides it over. It's when she's like dying, and it's just 2 rocks. and it's just like, oh my gosh. And she's like, you don't want them? And then his brother just like starts sobbing because he just knows like she's like starting to see things, and it's just, oh my gosh, man.
Oh my gosh, that is the saddest thing I've heard
It's
all year.
so, yeah.
I don't think I can watch this movie, dude. I'm already
It's
starting to get
so,
emotional.
yeah, it's,
Starving kid. I can't handle
oh
starving
man,
kids.
yeah, it's so heavy. And it's so sad too, because you just see like his anger at his dad for dying, because like his dad was on a naval ship, and then like the way it's told to him too, some dude's just like, he's like, yeah, he's like, they wiped out all the ships, and he's like, he's like, are you saying my dad's dead? He's like, yes, get off me, you psycho kid. And I'm just like, he just found out his dad died. I think it's an appropriate reaction. Like,
Oh.
and so it's, yeah, and then he's just like so mad at his dad for like not being there for his family, but it's like, yeah, it's just, oh man. And then I watched another kind of depressing movie. I watched Hachi, A Dog's Tale. I watched it with my dog, and oh my gosh, this movie, I thought it was gonna be Marley and Me, but it's Marley and Me, except plot twist, the dog doesn't die, the owner dies. I was like, what? And so I was like expecting the entire time for Hachi to get hit by a car or something like that. And then
What's his name again?
Missy.
Missy's
Yeah.
like, yeah, you like that?
Yeah, she's like, yeah, it's about time, because
It's
just
about time, yeah. The owner finally dies.
no, but yeah, because like the entire
That's
time I was
funny.
just expecting like the dog to die in an accident because they have like a super close bond. But it's like, it's so sad because the owner just has who's a professor, because like the dog follows him to the train every single day, and then meets him at the train when he comes home, and knows like what time. And then one day he just dies and has a stroke at work as a professor. And then like the dog for the next 12 years or 10 years every day goes to the spot, waiting for the owner to come back. And it's so crazy because it's based on a true story of a Japanese guy who the dog was named was like Hachizuki or whatever. And it was a professor, and like his dog would meet him at the train station, like super similar story, because it's a remake of a foreign film. And
What's the foreign film? I'd actually like to watch that.
I think it's called Hachi.
Hmm.
I
But
heard this story. Yeah, I've heard this story. I don't know where,
and then
when did the movie come
in
out?
real life, 9 years, for 9 years the dog went to the spot every day,
Kept waiting for him.
waiting for the owner to return until it passed away. And because like the breed of its dog is like super
Just
like,
loyal.
loyal. Yeah.
That's
So
so
yeah,
remarkable.
it's
I think my
amazing.
dog would start eating my leg if I slept in late. Like it would think that, it's like I get a snack or something. Speaking of which, okay, true story. One of my guys sold insurance to a lady who showed him her toes. They were literally all mangled and munched on because she has diabetes and she has neuropathy. So you don't have feeling and tingling in your feet, right? So you don't have nerve. It's nerve damage brought on by severe diabetes. So she can't feel anything in her feet. She woke up one morning, her English bulldog was literally eating her toes. like ate 3 of her toes. She wakes up, she's like, holy crap. She like kicks her dog away and then like gets to the hospital and they're like, we can't save these. They had to amputate her toes, dude. And I'm just like, Dad, come. Her own dog just like started eating her one night. Like, dude, oh my gosh, so gross.
That's insane.
Imagine waking up to that. You're like, you don't feel anything. You wake up, you're like, ah! Like I think they did that in Family Guy, right? This joke and his like legs eaten when they're like castaways or something.
Yeah, but
those
that's
legs.
and then all else I've seen was I've just been watching Avatar with Colton because he hasn't seen it.
The show, right? Not the blue
Yeah,
movie.
the show.
Oh my gosh, wait, did we
So
mention
good.
Killers of the Flower Moon is like Avatar?
Oh yeah,
The
I
movie
wrote
that I
in
will
my
never see again, but I
in my
saw in
le-
the theaters.
in my letterbox review. I said this movie is There Will Be Blood and Avatar's runtimes mesh.
Yeah. And even the story of Avatar, right? Yeah. Falls
Yeah,
in love
and
with
then
indigenous people.
the only thing
Oh.
I'm looking forward to really is, I mean, obviously more Avatar, and then The Killer, that comes out now next month, and then Hotel Rwanda. One of my buddies
Oh man, see,
who
that's a
recommended
movie.
Silence to me, he was like, yeah, he's because I was
That's
explaining
a
about
powerful.
fireflies, and he's like, you should watch Hotel Rwanda.
Yeah, or it's probably a lot like Curiosity of God or whatever, right? Yeah, that's the movie. Yeah, Hotel Rwanda was one. I remember thinking it was like an action flick. Once I
no.
started, I was like, "Holy crap!"
It's like the switch.
I thought it was gonna be like Like even like to be fair, like
It's
Hurt
like, when
Locker
does
and
Tom
Black-
Cruise come in with the spy mission?
like where's all the excitement?
What have you seen,
Why
Tyler?
the glum faces? No, but like I was thinking like a Hurt Locker meets like Black Hawk Down or something. But yeah, powerful story. Anyway, what about dude? I haven't seen anything. I mean, we already talked about The Creator. Did we do an episode on that, or did we just talk after?
The Creator?
Yeah, The Creator.
Oh, you talked about it.
Katie Washington.
You talked about it.
Okay, I
Because
talked.
one of my buddies
oh,
said
yeah.
it was really good, and he loved he went to see it for Hans, and
Yeah.
then he was like, I was pleasantly surprised that like the movie was also really good. He said it
I
felt
will
like
say,
Blade Runner
like
5.
it is entertaining as all get out. I thought it was really entertaining. If you liked Rogue One, I think it's by far the best Disney Star Wars that we've had so far, which is odd because I think it could have been so much better. But Gareth Brooks, I think Gareth Edwards, excuse me. I don't know what Brooks is. Gareth Edwards, I think, is a really good storyteller. And yes, he might use cliches that are conventional, but it's done in a way where it feels earned and it feels fresh. And holy crap, is it beautiful to look at? It feels a lot like District 9 meets, at least the way it looks. It feels like a Neil Blomkamp movie. But it's still got his own signature to it. And there's a few things that, kind of were an eye roll or took me out of the movie. But like overall, I definitely will watch it again, and I'll watch it with Maddie because it's a really good story. Kind of like it's like the story of Logan. So you know how that story plays out. It's like, protect the kid, get the kid to safety, and it's like everything that happens in a get the kid to safety movie happens. There's oh no, are they gonna get found out? And then so it's the same story, but other than that, like visually looking, holy crap, it was so pleasing to look at. And this movie had like $80 million. Compare that to like Indiana Jones and Marvel's that had $250 million. Like this was on like a third of its budget, and it looks more impressive than any of the movies that Disney has made.
I believe
in
that.
the last 5 years. Yeah, it's crazy. So
trash.
and Jordan, did you see it or not?
No.
Oh, okay, yeah,
Because
I might
I'm
go
gonna
see
wait
it
till
for
it comes
$5
out.
Tuesday.
yeah. Wait till it comes. But again, it's definitely worth a watch. It's very good. But yeah,
I'm
as
gonna
far as
see
seeing in
it.
theater,
I'm just gonna wait.
it was by far the most. It was that or Saw or Taylor Swift, and so I was like, yeah, I think I'll see Creator.
Can't
That's like
believe
how to choose the movie.
Good choice.
Can't believe Colton watched Taylor Swift twice.
Oh,
in the
sorry, real
theater.
quick.
His whole
Some of
family
the
loved it.
reviews, some of the reviews for Killers of the Flower Moon were so funny. It was like I was trying to get into this movie, but then Shake It Off was playing in the theater next to me.
I know. I did hear a beat in the theater next to me.
Yeah,
was like, oh,
I
geez.
saw another thing where it said someone was like they're like the slight Taylor Swift in the background of my movie didn't I wouldn't say it negatively impacted my view.
Just
so
really
funny.
quick, I'm not gonna go through my whole list because it's on
No.
Letterboxd, but I just want to say I watched Halloween, getting ready for the season. What up?
Dude, I know real quick for those of you just listening, Jordan is wearing a Friday the 13th Jason Voorhees hockey mask.
I came
and
from a
he's
Halloween
wearing
party.
yeah, okay, but he's definitely getting into the spirit of things, and he's wearing a Halloween.
If anyone's a real
Mike
life serial
Myers.
killer, it's Jordan.
But I have a motion camera.
Yeah, it's true. I'm
Um,
definitely the number one.
He'll
And
feel
then-
bad when he kills you.
I basically what I've
I'm
been
sorry.
doing.
I'm so sorry.
What I've been doing lately is really funny. I just been looking at all
I
the
just love
movies
killing. Sorry,
Cameron's been watching, and then I just been watching all the movies that have been on my bucket list, and he's been going through every single one on my bucket list. And so I'm just like, I'll see what he's seen, and then I watch it, and then I like review.
Did you put him on Letterboxd, right?
Yeah.
Because I was hearing all these movies, and I was like, a lot of these I've never heard of. So you were blowing my mind with your list. So I'm definitely going to go through, and I kind of want to watch them soon after
Yeah,
you've
this-
seen them, just so I could feel it. Yeah,
the-
we've watched it with somebody.
This thing right here,
Oh, the top two.
My-
Yeah, it's
my
the
top
scratches.
250 scratch off movie poster, and I've just been cranking through that thing.
Yes.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
And the last movie I'll watch on that list is Clockwork Mother Orange.
Have you seen it, Cameron? or
No.
Have you
It's
tried to watch?
last on the scratch
Yeah.
off. I'm not watching that until number 250.
Yeah, I can't watch that movie, Cameron.
I've seen
straight
it so
up.
many times.
I
Man, I could
also
watch
I also
everything.
hate
I will.
westerns, and there's so many westerns on. It sucks. Like Good, Bad, and Ugly. I'm just like
It's a good
30
movie.
hours.
You'll love it. It's a good movie.
I couldn't get through that one either, Cameron. It's okay.
Well, Butch
Um,
Cassidy and Sundance Kid is at least my favorite, and that's a great movie.
So Cameron's watching all these masterpieces. I've just been like watching the worst. So I won't go through those, but I will say one of them that I really loved. So about 15 years ago, from Dad's movie DVD case, I watched The Crow, and I just rewatched it, guys. It made my top 100. I'm sorry.
Oh, really?
Okay,
I do want to see that one again. I
I'm not-
remember liking it.
I'm
yeah.
not trying to like build it up too much for
We're
Cameron
trying to
because
be like Dwight and just
Yeah,
I
that's
know
Dwight's
my
favorite.
Desert Island movie. Yeah,
I don't know. I'm trying to think of like
It's-
Dwight's mind why that
it
it's
just
like his
it has
favorite. Yeah.
everything I
It's
love in the
so good.
movie. I mean, it's basically Death Wish, which I love the whole series, and it's just like this
Revenge tale, man.
vigilante.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he's just like, and he is insane. Like he is totally the Joker. Like he is nutso. He's freaky, and I
It's
love
why,
every.
so and remind me.
I mean, you were
it's-
obsessed
it's
with like those the Bruce
Lee's
Willis
son.
Yeah.
Right. Bruce
What?
Lee's son who tragically was killed on the.
Yeah, he died on set. Yeah, so the scene where they shot a blank at him, and it actually something went wrong and it killed him. So
Well, it turned out the one that was shooting the gun.
Don't say it. Don't say it.
It was Alec
It
Baldwin.
wasn't Alec Baldwin.
well,
I
but-
cannot believe you caught that. Cameron was
The
like, "Oh my
moment you
god!"
said, actually,
I know. As soon as you
like,
caught me, I was like, "Oh shoot!" And then I forgot the name momentarily. I was like, "No, let me finish
but
my
they totally
joke."
paid honor and respect to him, and
Yeah.
and I'm so glad they released this movie because it's so good. It has everything I love, and he reminds me so much of the Mel Gibson's character from Mad Max. Like he is unhinged. And like one of my favorite quotes, just really quick, last thing I'll say is he's it made me laugh out loud. Is the detective's like, well, I guess we can rule out suicide because they're rolling out the body and there's 17 knives in the guy's back because he just like slaughtered that guy. Dude, it's
He must have been
brutal.
hired by Eugene or not Eugene. He must have been hired by Ernest.
yeah, for real, bro.
Oh,
All
geez,
four
yeah.
of these doctors just. Let me
Well,
find the
that was a
bullet.
joke from Killer of the Flower Moon. People would understand.
But I just love how nuts he is. He's just a freaky
No.
dude. Like, and because there's something about like, and like I said, Mad Max going up against some, like he's insane. It's like he's more insane than the killers. It's kind, or I Saw the Devil. It's like, oh, when a serial killer goes, this guy's more nuts than me. Like, there's nothing more satisfying than hearing that from bad guys. That like,
Yeah.
I'm dealing with this deranged lunatic.
Yeah, he's gonna
Jordan
kill
also
me,
watched
yeah.
Wolf of Snow Hollow. And,
Oh, I
and his-
rewatched that. Yeah, because
mentioned that he's like Jim Cummings reminds me of my little brother.
It's so true, Cameron. Like Jim
He
Cummings
is.
gets angry like you do, where you're like,
Mhm.
you just like get really intense.
Well,
you know?
and 0 to 180, just like, and you can see he's trying to keep it down, but it's just like, it's
he's
bubbling.
just boiling under the surface. Yeah,
Yeah.
he's simmering. It's so true.
It's
But
not
yeah.
a werewolf, Tim.
And
It's not a dude. That's such a good. I want to watch that. That would be a good Halloween.
when is
movie
Jim
again.
making his next movie? Like, we need more Jim Cumming movies.
Yeah.
Because he said, I read one of his tweets and it said, I'm going to make a movie a year. Well, you missed a couple years, buddy.
Okay.
So,
Well, I'll tell you what. I'll
What
tell you
was the
what.
last
You know what
one,
we need.
Beta
We need a
Test?
Beta
Craig
Test.
Zoller. We need a Jim
2020?
Cummings and a Craig Zoller to
Yeah.
revival.
I don't remember
and
the year.
Dude,
I think it
we
was
need Jim
21.
Cummings and Craig Zoller to come back and make like a freaking
Yes. Okay. There's two actors I was
That's
thinking about
collaboration.
lately, just really quick. Jim Cummings, and I mean, he can be in any Quentin Tarantino, S. Craig Zoller, or Coen Brothers movie. Another
Yes.
actress that I think,
yes.
and another actress I think could fit in any of those three directors' movies is the girl from A Babysitter, Ty. She was in Martin
Babysitter.
McDonough's film, Three
have to
Billboards
remember
Outside
that.
Ebbing, Missouri. She's also in Guns Akimbo with the
Guns
Harry
Akimbo.
Potter.
Akimbo. I love
Akimbo,
it.
whatever.
Akimbo.
And she's also in Mayhem. Is that ringing a bell still? No.
I know
anyway.
the chick you're talking about. The blonde chick looks like Margot Robbie.
Yeah, I feel like she's a character. I just feel like these two people can fit perfectly in that universe as a
Samara
character.
Weaving.
Yeah.
Look at her. She looks so much like Margot Robbie. It's
Yeah,
it's ridiculous.
Oh, she does. Yeah.
Look at
It
her.
looks like Margot mixed with Rachel McAdams.
Cameron's like, my two
Cameron's like,
wives?
I have a. Cameron's like, I'll be.
Is she
stalking her
single?
later. Yeah, I'll be stalking her.
Cameron,
later
you haven't seen
tonight.
Babysitter?
Babysitter's good. Although there's
On
some,
Netflix?
There's some demonic stuff, right?
No.
I mean,
no. Oh, I mean, well, yeah, okay. She,
no. Well, yeah.
well, that's spoiling it though. It's not, you never see anything, Cameron, but they're like,
Oh.
I want to be young forever. So they sacrifice somebody, but you never see any demonic stuff. It's just like, I'm going to be young
It's
forever.
it's like do you
like
ever
Game of
watch the
Thrones.
Lost? Did you ever watch the Lost Boys, Cam?
Mm-mm.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay, that's another good movie, dude.
That's a good
You're
one.
in for a treat of Halloween. You should totally watch that. Corey Feldman and Kiefer Sutherland. It's a
I'm-
vampire movie and it's amazing.
I'm
That-
rewatching Christine
Watch
with
Lost Boys.
Tatiana. Dude,
Christine.
I love Christine.
Christine's great,
The
dude.
crazy
I'm not
car.
as big as on Kiefer Sutherland as you guys are, just because I never watched 24 growing up.
That's right.
Wait, you never got around to watching it even after
It was TV 14, and
No,
every
no, I
time
know.
they were
I
like,
was
"Cameron,
stopped.
get out of here!"
And then you're like, no one will want to watch this movie with me or no one will watch the show with me once I'm old enough because everyone will have already seen it. And you're like, yeah, it's
Exactly.
true.
And I'm just laying in bed at 7:30 at my bed,
And you can hear the ching, ching, ching.
and I'm like,
It's so
"Eyes of
true.
water, go back to bed."
Dude, I remember mom and dad, like, I think dad left at 2 a.m. to go to Blockbuster to get the next 4 episodes.
All right, we got to wrap this up. This is going like 2 hours. All right.
Oh my gosh. Dude, wait, if we can make it to 3, people will watch this episode.
Funny.
No, now it's getting late and now I find everything funny and now we're just rambling. Okay.
That's true.
you're right.
That was like Willow when we were just rambling about toilet paper.
Wait, what?
I don't remember that.
Yeah,
Wait, what
we
are
were
you talking about?
because we were talking about the pandemic and toilet paper, and then I was using toilet paper to wipe my eyes because you were making me cry because we were laughing so hard.
And we're like, don't, that's like
Oh, yeah,
liquid gold.
Because Jordan doesn't believe in having tissues because he was a poor man before he met Tatiana. Oh man.
That's so, dude, guys, we're here, man. When did we start the podcast? Was it 2.5 years ago?
It's been almost 3
8:15.
years now. Yeah,
Oh yeah.
So it'll be
April.
3
Yeah,
years
coming up in April, yeah.
April.
Or in the pandemic time, yeah, March or April. That's amazing, guys. This has been such a ride. Thanks again. I feel much better, even though Martin Scorsese do better. Do better.
I
Try harder.
Get some
Yeah.
help.
It's not his best film.
Stop
All right.
it.
Stop.
This is what he should have
You
done.
need to
in 2.5
do better,
hours.
Senator.
Stop it. Get some help.
You have to do better, Senator. Oh,
I was okay
anyway.
with it.
Oh, you know what's funny? Last thing I'll say, I haven't been watching any movies, but like Red Letter Media, my goodness, those guys are just making such great entertainment. I've been watching their channel, and then like real quick, Filmento. I'm just gonna throw out all my favorite YouTube videos right here because I've been watching tons of YouTube channels. And the other one was
Watch Do
Pointless Hub.
Cinema. Is it called Do Cinema, Cameron?
Yeah,
Do Cinema's great. Yeah.
Oh, you have
Do
watched it.
Cinema's
Okay,
great.
good. He's great.
Pointless Hub has been making me laugh.
This
That was the
video on
one
Jake Gyllenhaal is, in my opinion, is best.
Do Cinema. It's talking about your Pointless Hub was the one I sent today about talking about conspiracy. His whole channel is just this chill dude. But he's watched Jordan. He watches like all the Transformers, and then he all the what's the Day After Tomorrow movies, the disaster movies. He's been watching all those. It's super nostalgic hearing him talk about these movies. It's like I remember being scared to death of like tornadoes, just like he was. It's super funny. But anyway, Pointless Hub is a great channel. I sent you guys the Conspiracy Theory. Check out his channel. Some of his videos.
Conspiracy
are so
Theory
fun.
was amazing.
It was. I'm glad you watched that because
That's
I knew
because
you
that
would watch
movie
that
is
one.
perfect. I'm gonna rewatch that movie.
That's probably top 10 regrets in my life is that we didn't get that audio.
I know.
I've never cried more.
We need
in
to do that episode again.
Wait,
Or, I
which
mean,
one? Which one?
Conspiracy Theory.
Conspiracy Theory.
Oh, he's fine.
Do we lose? Oh, do we lose your audio or
We
my
lost
audio?
Cameron's audio.
Fine.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Yeah, like
He's
my
fine.
three of my 5 favorite episodes, we've lost my audio.
The Northman.
Yeah, the Northman.
Yeah, we watched
this,
them.
or Conspiracy
Conspiracy.
Theory, and then there was one more.
I can't remember. Ty's lost a few too.
I know. I lost.
There Will Be
one
Blood.
Yeah, There Will Be Blood, which was such
Cure.
a shame.
Yeah,
Which one?
Cure.
Cure. We talked
The
about it for
Cure,
like
yeah,
500
Cure,
hours
dude.
too.
The Cure. Oh my gosh, dude. That movie, dude. We should just watch that again for Halloween, right?
I do want to watch
movie's
that again.
weird.
I finally came
Weird.
on iTunes from the Criterion Collection.
Did it?
So
Seriously?
we get to watch
Yes.
it in HD. Oh.
Oh, it went on the Criterion. Of course it did. That
I
movie's
don't
so
have to
just
like
crept up
scam
on that
my
list.
Xbox into playing it. Just play it, please, 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 please.
I know. I'm like, oh my gosh. It's like you have
Please,
2 more.
please.
Yeah, it's like you could do this 2 more times ever, and I'm like,
I know,
why? Why?
Virus about to start on my thing. Like, what's
It's
going
like you do
on?
it 2 more times, and your Xbox is done. And then I'm like, every one of my video games is just like dubbed in freaking Korean or
Yeah.
something. Oh man. Well, folks, this
Check
has
us
been
out on
great.
Letterboxd.
Yeah, I'll
Yeah,
leave
check us
links.
out. Yeah, follow us on Letterboxd. Guys, this has been such a treat. Leave us an email at futuromovies@gmail.com. Leave us a comment. Tell us a movie you'd like us to review, and we'll probably check it out. And this has been Futuro Hidden Movie Gems signing out. Peace.
Bye.
I do love that money, sir.